I have a cake pop.
No, you don't. You do not have a cake pop. You did not even know what a cake pop was.
I looked it up afterwards. I don't have one.
I put an upward compressor on Joe today, which Boulder should be very excited about, so Joe should be a little bit louder. Let me know how his levels sound. Is every stream going to begin with cake pop discussion? No, we're both going to forget about that before next week, probably. I'm going to put stream announcements out.
Do you think Katsuki is in the pocket of Big Shiroya?
Maybe he wants to be. That could be his thing.
Maybe.
He wants to shrink and climb into her
thing.
pocket. He wishes the Sekimeiya would shrink him. Hi everyone. For the past 7 days, I've had Avril Lavigne complicated in my head, but with "Why'd you have to go and touch the Sekimeiya?" Amazing.
That song, Avril's songs get stuck on my head now and then out of nowhere. I don't know why.
Yeah, they get lodged up there for sure.
Yeah.
All right. What is the stream prediction? What do you people think we're doing? Scrandle? We're not doing Scrandle.
Oh, I already did Scrandle.
You already did Scrandle? Can I do Scandal instead? Oh, they can bet on that? Well, shit.
What's Scandal?
Scrandle with candles.
Oh.
I think that Allison called it Scandal yesterday accidentally, and now they've my Discord is sort of like full of the people you would meet in an improv class, like in a positive way. They just yes and everything. Like somebody might actually just build Scandal now, I think. Scented candle. Oh.
Is there a way for that to be positive? You sure?
I don't know. I like them.
Okay. All right.
It's not a game, it's a store. We like to pretend. There you go. There you go. August wants me to tell you how smart he is. Okay, so we're running another epitaph in the server, as you might have noticed. And I believe August solved 4 of 5 keys, all on his own for part 1.
Wow.
We were all unsure about August last time because he kind of swooped in and stole everybody's work at the end, and it was kind of one of those things, but he really proved himself this time by solving everything from the beginning. Just flat out. Kaylee solved one too. Yeah. What's your rebuttal? What's your rebuttal?
If August is so smart, how come he's a mod in my chat?
Oh, does that mean you think I'm stupid too?
You're an honorary mod.
I'm an honorary mod. What is that? So I don't deserve to be a mod?
Yep, for sure. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. This isn't backpedaling. It's forward pedaling. I admire that. Would I rather have a big Shiroya or a small Sai?
Never backpedal. Never.
I'd rather have small Sai. All right. I'm gonna announce this in Undercourt, and then we're gonna get started.
You announced it in Undercourt as well?
Yeah, I have a tag for it.
Wow.
Somebody else pinged it before I could. They pinged it before I could. Okay. All right. Going to work, but you should know code names went good. I love code names. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for code names today. All right. Are we ready?
Code names.
Are we ready? Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Are we ready for this? Okay. So, no Scrandle, because I have something else prepared for everybody today. Joe can see this on chat. Oh, Jelly is here right on time. Hello, Jelly. Thank you for raiding. Hello, Jelly Raiders. You've come right on time for the for me making Mr. Sunrise's art real.
Big Shiroya. I keep getting on this mail for Big Shiroya.
Carol. All right, so I have no idea what this game is about. I have great news for you, Merrick. I have great news. You've arrived just in time. So I don't want to stream Sekimeiya twice a week because I want to stream other games twice a week. And I don't want to add another stream day because then Joe and I will never have time to hang out. So as an intermediary, I have been working. This is not in Obsidian technically. This is an Excalibur, although that has an Obsidian plugin.
I knew some of those words.
Here's what we're gonna do. So here I've got different sections. We're gonna go one section at a time.
Shit.
Okay. First, for Merrick, we've got the character breakdown. All of these characters are trapped in Ashia Tower. Okay, in one way or another. So here we've got Katsuki, known associates Mia friend, Shiroya friend and love interest. His motivation, he's very paranoid. He doesn't want either of them to die. He might use the Sekimeiya to time travel to try and save one or both. So if you haven't been here, the Sekimeiya is an egg-shaped device that seems to time travel, at least. All of these people got trapped in a tower when somebody tried to steal it, basically. Before they were trapped in the tower, Katsuki was in an explosion with his friends Shiroya and Mia. And in the original Chapter 1 timeline, Mia died during that explosion. And then in the Chapter 2 timeline, Shiroya died. So we have multiple timelines. We have Shiroya, whose known associates are Katsuki as a friend, and Mia is just an associate because we found out that they aren't particularly close. Her motivation is she doesn't want either of the other two to die. Chapter 3 seems to be Shiroya oriented, so we probably have more Chapter 3 revelations. Okay. Mia has a known associate. Katsuki is sort of her plaything. Shiroya is her frenemy. She does not like Shiroya secretly. Her motivation, she's likely a clinical sociopath. She doesn't want Katsuki to be hurt because she seems to have some attachment to him, but she also doesn't want Shiroya to come back because she seems to be jealous of the attention that he gave her. Her strongest motivation, favorite person vibes. What kind of name is Katsuki? It's made up. His name is Atsuki, but we had a joke because he didn't appear on screen for all of Act 1. So we said that we should call him Katsuki because he probably has cat ears. But then he showed up and didn't have them, but we kept saying it anyway. Don't worry about it, kitten. Okay, so Mia, as a clinical sociopath, her strongest motivation is likely self-preservation at all costs. Okay, then we have Kate, who is the security officer who's trapped in there with them. His known associates are Naomi, his co-worker, and also Ashia, who is his employer. Ashia is the corporation who owns the tower. His motivation, he's been caught in lies a number of times. He has two likely motivations that I could come up with. One is greed. He is a possible jewel thief. I will go into this more later. If you talk to Katsuki at the wrong time, does he transform into Katsy and start saying, yeah? No. His more likely motivation, I think, is he's covering information up for the Ashia Corporation because he displays a level of narkitude that is either a cover-up or actual legitimate bootlicking. So could go either way, could be both. He seems to know that you should keep the Sekimeiya cold, but it's unknown if he knew what would happen if you used it.
May I add two things to Kate?
Yes. Yeah.
So Kate, co-streamer adding context. Two things to Kate is that we thought at one point, don't know why we thought this, that he might have been the one that discovered the Sekimeiya.
Mm-hmm.
And also just oddball, if it's right, we morbed it, it'll be awesome theory. Kate also might just be Sai older version from a different timeline.
We thought he was the one who discovered the
same hair and eyes.
Yeah. We thought he might have been the one who discovered the Sekimeiya because Sai suggested it in a long extended rant. Reminder that Umineko has never gotten something this detailed makes you think it's because I read it before the stream. Otherwise, if I was reading Umineko first time with Joe, we would have had this in episode 4. Okay. Is Kate the Paketo of the tower? No, because he doesn't leave. All right. Next is Naomi, whose known associates are Kate co-worker and Ashia employer. Her motivation is almost entirely unknown. As far as we can tell, she has been killed in 2 of the 3 timelines. We've found 2 of Naomi's body. Okay?
She has barely had any screen time whatsoever.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll go into that more in a bit too. Akaro, known associates unknown, possibly some connection with Sai. He's a good candidate for being related to Zin. Zin is like a terrorist organization who's been identified as targeting Ashia. Okay, so his motivation is almost entirely unknown. He's frequently traveling via the Sekimeiya, as far as we can tell, because he keeps appearing disoriented. We don't know if that's actually unintentionally or he's just pretending he didn't do it on purpose. There are a couple of times during the story where he disappears with Sai, so there's a chance they're in collusion. And also they were heard together on the tape recording from 30 days in the future. Then we have Irina, whose known associates are just Isla. Her motivation is she wants to protect her daughter at all costs. Since Isla does die in at least one timeline, it's likely Irina has done something to try to save her. We also saw at the end of Act 1 that she disappeared to try to save Irina. To try to save Isla, most likely. So we did see her wander off and probably do that. Yes, Akaro does move very quietly. I'm taking notes for what to add later. Akaro, add that he moves very quietly, like a cat. Okay. All right. Isla, her known associate is her mother. Irina, her motivation, she thinks the Sekimeiya is pretty, so she might just touch it. Like, it might just be as simple as that. She's very fond of gems in general. She had a friend who, before the events of the game, gave her prior information about what would happen in Ashiya Tower. So she seems to have some prior knowledge. Sai, known associates...
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah,
Was it us that theorized that Isla's friend was just a future version of herself, or was it the story that theorized that?
It was us.
It was us? Okay.
Okay. So finally we have Sai. We don't know who his known associates are. He's a good candidate for Zin too. And he could be associated with Akaro. Sai is an agent of chaos with a flair for the dramatic who enjoys figuring out how things work. He seems to understand how the Sekimeiya works better than other people, but nearly everything he says is unreliable. There's a high likelihood he's working with Akaro and or colluding with his other selves across timelines, which I think is funnier, and it's I hope it's true. If you flat out misremember something, do you want to be told? No. Thank you for offering. He seems to understand the Sekimeiya more and more as time goes on. He may be changing the time on his watch to throw everyone off, so any timelines based on what he says instead of observation shouldn't be considered legitimate unless externally verified.
And anytime Sai is not on the screen, we all are wondering, where is Sai?
Yeah, we love Sai. We love Sai. You're missing a core piece of information in Sai's paragraph that he loves men. I've got it right here. We know. Okay. Anyway, so that's the character breakdown. The flowchart work is crazy. Just you wait. Here we go. All right. So here we have what we know for sure. If I have this wrong, don't tell me. It's funnier that way. All right. So we've got what we know for sure. 1, there are at least 3 timelines, which I go into below, and people in Ashiya Tower can travel between them. 2, touching the Sekimeiya causes at least one person in the area to teleport away. It appears that they're going back in time. 3, the Sekimeiya powers are related to heat in some way. When it gets cold, it goes inert and turns white. After it warms up, it becomes hotter and hotter over time until activated, after which it turns gray. 4, the Sekimeiya hasn't traveled along with anyone that we've seen travel on screen. Instead, it falls to the floor. I mislabeled them. So 5, the smell of the gas released is similar to the gas released in the jewelry store where Katsuki, Shiroya, and Mia were during an explosion, suggesting that events were related. And 5, there is also a smell that often, but not always, correlates to the use of the Sekimeiya. All right, so here we have our timeline breakdown. So we have timeline 1.
God.
I know. So we have timeline 1, which is Shiroya, Kite, Katsuki, Akaro, Isla, Sai, Irina, and Naomi. Timeline 2, everybody the same except instead of Shiroya, we have Mia. And timeline, which is in chapter 2. So timeline 1 was in chapters 1 and 3. Timeline 2 is in chapter 2. Timeline 3 has not yet been shown. And here's some interesting things that I discovered whenever I was doing this. So, Isla's friend was probably from Carol. Isla's friend, hypothesis. I have hypothesis. I have notes in blue, hypotheses in green, and questions in yellow. Okay. So hypothesis, Isla's friend was likely from this timeline. So she said her friend told her there would be 3 men and 4 women in the tower. The only time that that's true, as far as I can tell, is in timeline 3. This may also account for why her friend said nothing bad will happen. We haven't yet seen this timeline, so there might not be any murders in it. So my other hypothesis is the times we see Naomi alive could be from this timeline. If nothing bad happens here, Naomi could possibly be Isla's friend, although I don't think she has any motivation to do that. I do think that the 2 bodies of Naomi that we've seen are 2 different timeline bodies, and so there is still 1 Naomi remaining, as far as we know. So the question is, why does Kate not being there make this timeline, quote, better? Does it actually, or do bad things happen? And somebody from this timeline is trying to stop them by talking to Isla, except they went back and talked to this Isla instead, right? Okay. Any questions, Joe? Any comments?
I think we have seen 3 different Naomis. The one that got up at the end of the story. So that's
true.
In
Yeah.
your theory, that's timeline 3, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We don't, and we've seen, who was it that said who the fuck is Kate? Was it Akaro?
It was Akaro who said who the fuck was Kate.
So
yeah.
so the only people that we've seen from timeline 3 are Naomi, just because by necessity we've seen 3 Naomis, and Akaro because Akaro said it. We don't know for sure if we've probably seen a Sai from timeline 3. There's also possible there's more than 3 timelines. But like that's what we've seen.
This is why I say at least 3 timelines. Okay. Also, I was gonna say to you at the beginning, we can either work on this together on a stream or off stream if you want to be part of this madness, or I can just keep chunking away at it.
I'm enjoying the madness. I'm enjoying the madness.
All right. Well. Okay. All right. So now we have
Oh.
miscellaneous questions. Do you think there's a possibility we shifted between timelines mid-chapter? I'll get into that, C8. Okay. So, miscellaneous questions. Why was it that Sai could hear the elevator moving in chapter 1 and other people couldn't? Hypothesis, Sai was in a different timeline. My theory is different parts of the timeline can shift without the characters knowing it. So it is possible that Sai could go to floor 4 and someone else could go to floor 5 and they could be existing in different timelines. And I go into this more a little bit lower. I
do not think that's happening.
Okay.
I do not think that's happening.
Right.
It's really interesting theory. I would like to know. I would like it, but I am in conflict with you about this one. I do not think that's happening.
Okay. That's totally fine. This is just I'm just spinning stuff. Okay.
No, it's more interesting if we have competing theories. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So question 2, what is happening with the restoring objects and bodies to their state at the time of travel thing? My hypothesis is healing bodies could actually mean people are going forward in time and they naturally heal, or something about the passage through time backwards still counts as time passing. Restoring objects could mean shifting them to where they belong in that timeline. I don't think the save state thing is real. I don't think that's real. I don't think you go back and you had a key and now you have it again.
We know that for sure because if the save state thing was real, his hand wouldn't have been kind of just fucked up. It would have just been completely healed.
Yep.
So we know for sure the save state is not right, but there is something to that. There is something there. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know what it is. Okay. But how do they not get hungry if they're locked in for a month? If that recording is telling the truth, I don't know the answer to that. So 3, does the Sekimeiya actually just teleport on its own? My hypothesis is, my instinct is no, the Sekimeiya doesn't teleport. They're just shifting across timelines without realizing it and finding out where it was left the last time it traveled in that timeline. I want to graph out times the Sekimeiya is used to prove this out. It does seem to be true that the Sekimeiya is not brought with people when they travel.
Yeah, agree. 100% agree on that one. Yeah.
Okay, I'm taking notes. All right. 3, Joe, agree. Okay. 4, this is the craziest one so far. Why doesn't the shutter open in all of the timelines? Here's a hypothesis. This is now an Uchikoshi novel. There is some kind of catastrophic event in Yushibana that happens while they're locked inside. Coincidentally, it is that kind of story. They may possibly be locked in on purpose to prevent that from happening or to keep it from happening to them. So if, for example, Sai was planning to enact some kind of this terrorist attack or something, they could lock him in the building to keep him from doing that.
I actually agree with this because of
Nice.
the total time traveler, totally non-time travel that was in the end of the other one. So there is a timeline. I don't know if it's every timeline or if it might just be one timeline that's getting interwoven in itself. You know what I mean? It's a VN, so there's got to be an Ouroboros in here somewhere. I think that at the end or one of the timelines, when it branches or something happens, causes a time quake or whatever outside or in the world, and it cannot open because it's just the world's fucked. It's causing too many conflicts in the continuum or whatever.
Interesting. Okay.
Someone
asked what font I'm using. I am using the default font in Excalidraw. I don't know what it's called. All right. 5.
Fancy Comic Sans.
Yeah, fancy Comic Sans. Question 5. How many conspiracy theory Comic Sans? Question 5. How many functions does the Sekimeiya have? Hypothesis, at least 2. It actually travels in time and also travels across timelines. It's unlikely but possible that traveling across timelines isn't actually linked to the Sekimeiya and is actually linked to the building itself. For example, if you use the Sekimeiya and happen to travel to the attic, this goes across a boundary and causes you to traverse to a different timeline. This would be especially funny considering the building searches. It means they're traversing timeline boundaries, so it's completely ineffective. If they split up, they're all on different timelines, and they don't guarantee anything. This would require an enormous amount of coincidence, but we already saw an enormous amount of coincidence with Mia teleporting, like, to one room away from where what's his name is, from where Katsuki is, and, like, hearing him, and then Katsuki happens to, like, not look in there like that. So this is the craziest one. It links to the stuff I said in 1, where I think there's something fucky about the building itself.
Yeah, also just as an exercise of meta writing, the fact that they keep going through all of these, like, let's group up Scooby-Doo style and go through methodically room by room means that there is a time, this is ample opportunity that once they all collectively leave floor 1, like, who knows what the fuck is going on down there, right? Like, there could be so much shit going on down there at that point,
Yeah, and the other thing is that there's been, like, almost every time they split up, somebody acts really weird afterward. Like, Sai shows up and acts really fucking weird, or Akaro shows up and is super disoriented. And so I think that it would be possible but unlikely that all of those people are using the Sekimeiya every time that happens. And so I think that there's a pretty good chance there's something fucky with the building itself. I've said before, I think it might be built on some kind of, like, fault or something. And I think that's probably true in some way. That's my biggest, weirdest theory, probably. 6 is, how does the Sekimeiya decide where and when you teleport? Hypothesis: when seems to be decided by how long the Sekimeiya is left to get hot and how hot it gets, although I'm not 100% convinced. As for where, I have almost nothing. It's super murky. Sai has implied that there are coordinates related to where your body was at a particular time. This is one of the things I want to go back and verify. The next thing I'm going to do on this insane chart is track every time the Sekimeiya was used that we know of and see who travels where and when, as well as when people appear acting all of disoriented and stuff. What if where depends on the direction the egg is pointing and no one was keeping track of it? Shit.
Oh my god. Oh no. They did. I'm impressed that they brought up the point that the Earth moves. So that's, like, because the Earth is moving through space, like, it has to also be a location shift as well as a time shift. But I can't imagine that the Sekimeiya can be that good. So it has to be either that when they're traveling through time, they're just like morbing to where someone else is in a different timeline, and that's just happened where they are, and they're overriding that consciousness, or they are going back to just where they were at some point, and it's linked to the person they are themselves. I would be curious to go back in time and see if there's any part time when two people travel together that they split up.
There are a number of times
after they go through.
Yeah, Katsuki and Shiroya do that more than once, I think. Which is going to be easy, not easy, but possible to compare between 1 and 3. Chapters 1 and 3. Okay, finally, miscellaneous question. Why does the Sekimeiya only smell sometimes? There are many possible options for this. They include using it in a timeline that you aren't originally from. The smell only happens when it's particularly hot and has a big effect. It only happens when more than one person is transported, etc. This, I think, will also be dug into. Yeah, stinky timeline. This will also be dug into in when I do the next step of tracking the next time the Sekimeiya is used. Okay, so I actually started with the next section and then decided to make the rest of it. So I only have a couple example things of what I'm going to do here. I decided that going through and doing everything was a fool's errand that would take too long. So I'm just going to look at the movements of people through key events. This is so cool. Thank you. I'm normal. Mouse, do you know what your average word per minute is? Between 140 and 160. Okay, so key event 1 is the attic suitcase. So this was pretty early in chapter 1 when they went to the attic for the first time and they found footprints from the sofa where there was a suitcase to the door and then to the hallway. So at the same time, this happened at about 12 p.m. So at the same time, in timeline 2, they discovered a single set of footprints from the door to the sofa twice, and then once to the hallway. It could have matched Kate or Akaro's shoes, and the Sekimeiya was lying on the sofa. I put that here twice. Oops. So my hypothesis is that someone, but probably Kate, from timeline 2, traveled to timeline 1, leaving the Sekimeiya on the sofa in timeline 2, but they brought the suitcase with them, and then they left. I would have more details on this here with cross-referencing, but I made the rest of the chart instead. Thank you, ADHD. What this made me notice was we've seen 3 suitcases. Kate points it out in this scene. So we've seen the suitcase here, the suitcase on the first floor, and the suitcase that the stolen gems were in when someone took it out of the building. So my hypothesis is those are the same suitcase, but from different timelines. The one on the first floor, probably timeline 1, but maybe not. The one in the attic, probably timeline 2. And thief, my hypothesis is the thief was from timeline 3. So here's my most harebrained theory yet. My hypothesis is the reason that Kite is gone is he's the thief in the third timeline, but maybe accidentally escaped to the first timeline with the gems. It explains why he is sus as fuck, but a red herring for the actual crimes.
Where do you think he's hiding the gems?
What do you think, everyone? I don't think he's hiding the gems. So in the first timeline, they caught a jewel thief outside with a suitcase full of gems from like room A4 or something. And so I think he might have escaped with those gems.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could be.
Could be.
He is really sus.
Yeah, he's extremely sus. This would also require an enormous number of coincidences because basically it would mean that he set off the shit in the tower in order to create a diversion to collect the gems and leave, which is what I thought originally someone had done. But I don't know why it would happen in every timeline in that case. Do you think Kite is the one who killed Katsuki in the first bad end? I don't know. I need to go back and reread it, but maybe. The first bad end also lists the number of people who were there, so the first bad end is going to show me what timeline we were in whenever we go back over it. Okay.
Do you think that they have used the Sekimeiya to travel successfully back in time at some point in order to install that fucking side door that even the owner of the building didn't know about?
That would be so funny. That would be extremely funny. All right. So key event 2, this was also interesting. This is the tape recorder. So this was, I didn't remember what exactly was said on the tape recorder, which was, Akaro, well, what do we do now? Sai, what do you want to do? We might have been here for more than a month and the exit's not open. Unless you want to take down the shutter by hand, we can only keep waiting. Katsuki, what are you thinking about? Do you have any more ideas? And hey, Arena, what's with that face? Akaro, what? Not going to answer? The door opens. Sai says, Isla, what the hell? Akaro says, hey, answer us. What are you looking at? Isla says, where am I? Sai says, what do you mean? We're still in Ashia Tower. Do you not remember? Isla says, no, I know. What I mean is what happened to me. Where am I? Akaro says, what? And Isla says, no, I should be. And Isla says,
that's the Isla that fell into the thing. Yeah.
Isla, what's gotten into you? What are you holding? In Arena, why aren't you doing anything? Okay, so hypothesis, Isla is displaying the same disorientation Akaro does, likely after shifting timelines. I'm supposed to be, could mean Isla thinks she's dead. It also could mean that she thinks she should be in that cabinet. It also could mean she intended to travel to the past and went to the future, went to a different place than she expected. Big hypothesis could be Arena gave her the Sekimeiya and said this could save you, and told her it would send her out of the tower, and then it didn't. So my other hypothesis is Arena could be from a different timeline, which is why she acts strangely when she sees Isla. She could be from the one where Isla is dead and went to this timeline on purpose to see her. Or Isla could be doing something Arena asked her to do, which is why she acts unsurprised and doesn't try to intervene with whatever is going on. So the question is, what is Isla holding? I think it's probably a weapon, but it could also be the Sekimeiya, the suitcase, other gems, the tape recorder itself, which would make sense because it was there before she got there, but I said it anyway. It seems like she might be holding the knife. Yeah, the time travel knife. The question...
You know what? In Arena, why aren't you doing anything? That's kind of spooky, isn't it?
It is spooky. Yeah, it is spooky. Yeah. Yep. So another question, does this actually take place 30 days into the future, or is it a recording meant to be purposely misleading to get them to take action? Sai and Akaro both are obviously covering things up, so it's possible this is just fake, although I kind of don't think it is. And then the final question is, who placed this in Isla's purse and why? I don't know the answer to that. I don't even have a theory for that. Knife in Arena isn't doing anything to get it from her is my best idea, I think. So that's what I have so far. The next thing I'm going to do is confirmed Sekimeiya uses in a big list and who did it. And also the times that people just appeared being disoriented. And then I'm going to cross-check between chapters to see if I can identify if they came from the other one. Yeah. So this is the...
Do you want do you want to finish a video project for me?
Do you want me to do the Witcher 3 video? How much time did you spend on creating this treasure? Maybe like an hour and a half total. It wasn't very long. Thank you, Mastercut. No problem. No problem. Yeah, so that's what I got. So yeah, like I said, we can decide if we want to work on it on stream, or if you want to do it off stream with me, or if you want me to just keep acting like a crazy person.
Might want to add some stuff through break once we're caught up or anything, but we could we could go through it together off stream and have it prepared next time, and then add to it after that.
That would be fun.
That might be interesting. Yeah.
Oh, have a tab per person on what their suspected goals and presented goals are. Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. Well, that's the stream, everyone. Thank you very much. It was a good.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed it. Can we get the witch to elevate this chart to red truth? Hell yeah. The witch. There he is. Here, that's the witch right there. Where does the egg chair factor in?
Of this picture?
It's very big. It's very big. You can zoom out so far. These streams have been greater than I ever could have imagined. Thank you, Cinema. Okay, I'll post this. I'll post this in the Sekimeiya channel. It's just a PNG. What does Sai's shirt say? It says Wood Carbuncle, and it's a reference to Remember 11 that Godot in the chat snuck in there. Okay. All right.
What do you think, everyone?
What do you think, everyone? Yeah. Okay. Let me stop sharing this, and I will share Sekimeiya to you instead. Snuck as in asked. Yeah, that's the same thing. All right. I have forgotten. I didn't forget. I was just waiting. I'm going to forward you the voice assignments now. Ready?
Okay.
Oh, here you go.
What? Okay. What? Let me tell you what the voice assignments are, chat. Okay? Here's the voice assignments. Mouse, Shiroya, Joe, everyone else.
Oh boy. I said to Joe over the week, I said, I have a bad feeling that we're about to be trapped in Shiroya land, and we're back to the land of bad pacing, and it's just gonna be Shiroya over and over. And he said, really? You think so? And then I got these assignments, and I said, oh, okay.
Shiroya's Wild Ride. Here we go.
Shiroya's Wild Ride. Well, we may just end up taking turns reading narration for most of this. Since I just talked for a really, half an hour straight, would you like to read narration for a bit?
Sure.
Do I have any files from when I was reading Umineko? No, I had a blog, but I deleted it. Sorry. All right.
Did you get any subs or anything during that to say thank you to before we get into it?
You are such a good streamer. So thank you for Thalia for subbing when I was offline, actually. And thank you for Man of Answers for subbing. Nice to see you here. Not raiding in break. Nice to see you, Man of Answers. Okay.
Okay. Did we read everything on the screen?
No, we didn't. Might as well start from the top, yeah. Oh, whoa. Sorry. Thank you for an anonymous gifter for 10 community gift subs. That's very generous. Thank you very much. Loves graphs, I guess. Loves charts.
Paromo Nata, Glotta, Persona 358, Candid Lotus, Food, Gummy, Gapicause, Orimit, Verdox 5, Corny Dog, and Paust.
Oh, Paust. Hey, Paust.
Love the graphs. Love the Mets. Okay. Lock in.
One more thing. Final thing. We now do have, courtesy of Jelly, our very own Mets emote. There you go. Love the Mets. Oh, and thank you, IG Lavos, for subbing right now. Thank you.
Looking forward to the Chrono Trigger stream, I hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finally, that sensation ended. I located a ladder and climbed out of the channel's end. Around me was a grassy field covered in snow. The sky firmly situated above me. It was real. This is a cool shot. I couldn't fathom the image. In front of me, I saw Yushibana, entirely still. A chilly breeze forced me to shrug my coat higher and cover my neck. I've been trapped for hours in a building I could see the faintest outline of on the horizon. But that wasn't all. Seeing Yushibana below me brought a relief I hadn't known was possible. Seeing that I'd been released, all my questions fell away. I didn't know why I was atop that hill or what had happened to me. Is there sound, by the way?
There will be when I turn it back up. Wow. Okay. Sound.
Ooh. I didn't know I was atop that hill or what had happened to me. All I knew in that moment was a soaring sense of liberty. I was actually free. Shiroya has emotions? Holy shit. Damn. I looked inside my purse again and saw keys.
Wow, I'm amazed someone is playing Sekimeiya. Welcome, chatter. You just missed something huge.
These belong to my apartment. They're not Katsuki's. The tickets aren't here either. Pushed off the snow on the stone that formed the tunnel and sat on it. Every part of my body still hurt, especially my back. I was breathing calmly, observing the silent town. From there, I could see the entirety of Yushibana. Close to me was the school I'd gone to and a familiar park next to it. There was no way to really be sure, but I assumed that the tunnel I'd gone through was part of some kind of drainage system. It sloped down the hill into the center of town, and I couldn't think of any other function for it than collecting water that would otherwise flood. It didn't really matter. I was out. The drainage channel, or whatever it was, hadn't swept me away or drowned me. That long tunnel was a path to salvation. I didn't know the true state of the world I was looking down on, but all by myself, I was finally able to experience peace. Do we think that this is immediately after the explosion, or do we think she just went back to the explosion place on a different time?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm kind of feeling the latter for some reason, but...
Yeah. It takes twists and turns, you know what I mean?
Forcing myself to move, I stood up and began to descend a thin path that started from the tunnel. I sensed my boots pressing on the snow until I was down the hill. Upon turning around, I saw the trail of footprints that I'd left. As bizarre as it was, I looked at them as proof that I was really there. Yeah, that's a good thought. My phone showed 9:48, and I was behind my school, where I'd rarely ever been at such a time. Much farther in the distance, I could see the top of the only structure that rivaled the Shia Tower's height. The hospital. Is that where I am right now? Or am I being brought there? I couldn't comprehend yet how the travel had worked, but I walked around the school and found myself in the park we'd been at that very day. I started to hear faint voices around me and saw dark silhouettes next to one of the benches. Of course, I wasn't alone in the town. Unaware of where I was headed, I followed the steps we'd taken at a time that felt like a distant past. Tall round lights illuminated the rustic part of Yushibana. That day, we just happened to end up at a modest shop, but the present me deliberately walked to it. What would happen if they see me? There's gotta be someone there. That's bound to change the past, right? I remembered all the narrow streets. No light could be seen through almost any window, and most of the footprints still on the ground ended at various doors. I'm digging this, actually. This is good. I looked from the final turn and stared at where the shop had been. In front of the door were two people talking to each other. One of them wore a suit, and the other wore casual clothes for the cold.
So it might be before the explosion, right?
Yeah, probably. I don't recognize either of them. Should I step forward? What would they ask me, and how would I answer anything? I chose to stay still. If the past could be changed, that wasn't the way to do it. Next to them was the window that had once grabbed our attention. I couldn't hear anything they were saying, but they hadn't sensed me either. Not long after, the man in the suit walked away. The other person saw him off and stayed where he'd been. That gave me the chance to look at his face.
God, I hope it's Akaro. Oh, no.
Oh, it's the owner of the shop. Akaro would be good. The other man was walking toward me, so I backed off toward another path to avoid being seen. I suddenly bumped into a car camouflaged by the dark. In the sky, the moon was hardly visible, not helping things. Fortunately, the snow on the ground told me where I was every step. What? I seemed to be the only person there, so I kept going until I arrived at a road full of wheel marks. The streets were wider and a couple walked by me. After so long, there was life around me, and the strain on my shoulders slowly faded away. Should I just go home? Katsuki was also brought to the hospital, and I was there for a week. I have the keys, so I really can just do that. For what purpose was I in the past, staying next to a lonesome streetlight? I knew I had to do something. I could change history, but sleep was the only thing on my mind, and my body still felt battered and weakened. Getting to my bed was my priority. Everything else had become a background concern, as there was nothing I could do right then. Why am I so tired? I feel different from when I was in the tower. Is it because this is how I was at this time on November 30th? I mean, you've just been through a lot and you finally escaped, you know? Like, it makes sense. My My apartment was close by and I needed to rest. At that time of night, nobody should have been there. The cold was starting to get to me, so I tightened my coat around my shoulders as I walked. Taking my time, I observed my surroundings as I walked, all of them covered in the same white layer of snow. What will I do? I can only hope that I'll understand everything better tomorrow, but I should have enough time to think about it. If I'm right, my parents aren't even in Japan. I'm about to spend a week in the hospital, and then I'll go to live with Katsuki. I can just be at my apartment until the 15th comes again. Then what? Should I try to make us not go to the tower? How would I attempt to prevent the attack from happening? Even if Katsuki and I don't go, there are people who will die. And in both cases, I'm giving up on going to the past again to save Mia. If the past can be changed, I can't just leave her to die. This is so tragic.
Girl, she is not worth it.
Yeah, it's so tragic. But this is still really scary. At the time I change the past, I'll be stuck in a world with another self of mine, and I won't be the original. The me that Katsuki saw in the event room, will it really be me? Will I decide that I don't want to change the past just so that I keep living in a world where I'm the only version of myself? I wouldn't do that, would I?
Someone says, can I ask a question about the time travel that's on a higher level? Sorry, teacher, I should have asked it earlier. Go for it. Go for it. Let's hear it. I don't know the answer, I'll tell you that much. I don't know what the question is, but I don't know what the answer is.
So I entered my apartment. Sigh, I would love that. That would be so good. You idiot! Do you think you're the really only one that would escape?
Class turns to look at you, yep. The Sekimeiya background music is pretty good. Yeah, Sekimeiya's music is good. What kind of time loops do you think it is? Like, is it one of those where it's going to be completely closed at the end and it's inescapable or not? I don't know if it's time loops. Do you think it's time loops?
I think it might be time loops.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think there are multiple dimensional timelines. I think it's the same timeline, and you can just, when they go back, they change things and it keeps going somehow. The characters are perceiving the timeline. Yeah.
There has been a lot of talk about bootstrapping.
I also think they can change the past. I don't think that when they go back in time they were always there. They can change the past. That's why sometimes Mia is alive, sometimes Shiroya is alive.
You miss Sai holding a sign that says I love men. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He's not on screen. There's nothing I can do. My hands are tied. How does sound, by the way? I put a filter on Joe to make sure that he's louder, but is he peaking? Because he looks like he's peaking sometimes on my OBS. Seems good? Okay. Alright. Works for me.
Arriving home, I saw a few people talking to each other. They had no idea I was from the future. Of course, nobody knew about the Sekimeiya's powers yet. I think somebody does. How is that actually possible? Sekimeiya has already been announced as a discovery. Yeah, exactly. So why will they let the public touch it with what it can do? Did Ashiya not know about that? I have no idea where it even came from. In the past, all those questions still had no answers. I turned toward a narrower street full of apartment blocks and looked far ahead. This is so weird. If there's an answer, I'm gonna like this. This feels like the reason why they would do that is because they knew this would happen, which means one of the people that stuck in the tower had to go back in time and orchestrate this in some way. I stopped in the middle of it and went up a white metallic staircase. On the way, I took my keys out and walked to a door with a C plate. I stood in front of it and tried to sharpen my hearing. Can't hear anything. A little nervous, I inserted the key into the keyhole and kept it there for a while. Finally, I decided to turn it, making a little noise. Should I try to be silent? If I'm somehow in here, do I want to not be heard? What would I even do if I see myself? I can't go anywhere else. I opened the door slowly. The faint light of the night illuminated the way in, and I took a hesitant step forward. Naturally, I knew where the light switch was, so I reached out to it and I glanced around. When the ceiling lit up, I saw the same entrance I'd seen countless times before. Next to the door, I saw my reflection in the mirror. I looked a lot better than I imagined, probably because the body I was in hadn't made it to December yet. I closed the door and stood in the middle of the room, not much warmer. I still felt uneasy, so instead of taking off my shoes, I opened the door to the living room. Go check the date, girl. Girl, check the date. There was a large window with its blinds closed, and in the center of the room, a wooden table on top of a green carpet. Everything looked like it had when I left on the 30th. I really was at home. There was an old TV on top of a low stand that I rarely used due to the poor signal, and colored cushions were scattered all over the floor. Next to me was the door to the kitchen. In the sink were the few dishes I hadn't washed, and in a corner was the laundry I hadn't finished. That day, I'd been really looking forward to meeting Katsuki and Mia, and although we hadn't ended up doing much, I'd been excited to go. Aww.
Aww.
I walked back and opened the other door to the entryway. In the entryway, reading's hard. After lighting up the short hallway, I stepped to the first door. My bedroom was behind it. Farther back were the last 3 doors. One led to my parents' bedroom, the other to the bathroom, and the last was a guest room with a small bed with Sai on it. I've been storing things in the guest room since it'd been unused for so long, cramming a bookcase full. Recently, my drive to read had dropped off, but I still kept my favorites front and center. Nothing was out of place. Everything I put in there hadn't moved even slightly. There really is nobody here. It was the same modest apartment I'd always lived in, but it seemed like I'd last been there a very long time in the past. I'd left a trail of slick, snowy footprints, so I went to the entrance and dropped my boots beside the door. I entered my bedroom and draped my wet coat on a chair. My headache had been weakening, but many of my muscles were still sore. I couldn't even tell if I was hungry, and my thirst was dwarfed by how tired I was. I left my purse next to the bed and fell on it with the clothes I'd been wearing. Check the date before you go to sleep.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
I closed my eyes on top of a large pillow and gradually wormed my way under the blankets.
Hello, streamer. I hope you have a nice streaming evening. Thank you. I hope you do too.
I was exhausted, but I didn't fall asleep immediately. There were too many things I had to think about. I just spent more than 12 hours sealed inside Ashia Tower, so the sensation of my bed was far beyond welcome. However, it seemed I had suddenly arrived on the day where everything started.
Did she check the date last stream? Yeah, her phone displayed 2110 and the date settings read November 30th on her phone.
Oh, but why would her phone do that?
I don't know.
Okay, I guess so. It just updated. There are two versions of her cell phone are pinging the same tower right now. In the distance of the town must have been Katsuki crying about the possibility of losing his 2 closest friends. Somewhere else, other people were surely thinking about the attack they'd orchestrate on December 15th.
Have the female characters passed the Bechdel test yet? Yes, technically, if you count Irina and Dyla.
I soon felt like I should have turned on the heater, but I couldn't get out of bed. My mind went through most of the events I've been caught up in, and I still didn't reach a single conclusion. I had wanted to change the past, but comfortable as I was beneath 2 blankets, that was comparable to moving a mountain by hand. Huh? A sound reached my covered ears and woke me up. I was frightened at first, but I quickly realized it had come from outside. And it didn't stop. Fireworks? Hearing fireworks in Shibano was rare, but it was the start of the holiday season. I removed my head from under the blankets and paid attention to the sound. While it wasn't close to where I was, brief sparks of light could be seen through the window. This is weird. I knew the area was still chilly, but I braced myself and pushed the blankets aside. I sat up and looked at my phone. It was 1:06. When I looked behind me, I saw the large screen of glass turning orange momentarily, reflecting the distant light. They really are fireworks. I never hear them here because the police always shut them down, but I bet someone sneaked some into town and wanted to celebrate the holidays. I see. I couldn't help but feel as they were welcoming me, although I knew the truth was far from that. I was in a coma, so I never truly heard or seen those fireworks. There was nothing I wanted more than to view them with Katsuki and Mia, but that couldn't happen. Would it be possible to change the past so that it could? The past really is changing, though. It had already been changed. That I was seeing those fireworks was the proof. I was allowed to live through what I missed out on, the 2 weeks where I hadn't lived. I simply stared at the distant lights. My eyelids were drooping, but I didn't want to stop watching. The fireworks didn't last much longer. After a few minutes, the stronger ones went off, and they all calmly ceased. Discord's compression has made it so there's like a gray outline of the fireworks, like they're real. It's actually kind of cool. I dropped back onto the bed, still with no energy to turn on the heater or put on warmer clothes. That time, I fell asleep almost instantly. Did you know that while most phone plans don't support multiple devices, the restriction is purely artificial, and you can absolutely get one that lets you have multiple phones?
Yeah, that's why
I don't know how that would work.
I mean, that's why you can have like your iPad attached to your phone, and then it rings whenever your phone rings. It works the same way. It just redirects it to all the devices, right? Do you want me to take over for a bit? Or are you good?
Sure, go for it.
All right. I opened my eyes. I wasn't in the attic. I was in my own bedroom, facing the pillow I'd evidently rolled off of. The whole room was lit, sunlight streaming through the window. With my face still under the blankets, I closed my eyes again, not yet wanting to face the cold. Oh my god, I want to be cold so bad right now. It's so hot. It's so hot outside. I want it to be winter so bad. I'm so jealous of
I miss winter.
I miss winter so bad. The first day of December. Mia's not here anymore. I'm in the hospital, and Katsuki's probably at his house. Or I guess I'm actually in my bed. I vividly remembered parts of a dream I'd just had. We'd all still been in the tower, and while the details escaped my grasp, it had entailed a messy conflict with the Sekimeiya. Out of nowhere, I realized I'd been lying in bed for a while without doing anything. It had happened so quickly. It felt like just minutes ago I'd been waiting with everyone in the lobby. I'd been distressed in the tower, so why was I acting like nothing had happened? Was it just because I'd traveled to the past? Because there were 2 blank weeks ahead of me, and there was no reason to go over things I'd worried about once already? That logic didn't make a lot of sense. I'd gone to the past to change it, and I hadn't known how far I'd go. Since I was in the hospital at the time, as long as I went to Katsuki's house, I'd be changing the past. If he saw 2 versions of myself, he would have to believe anything I said. But I didn't rush out of bed, and I probably knew the real reason why. It was sheer burnout. In a way, it was similar to how I'd felt before meeting up with Katsuki and Mia, the period when I had absolutely no idea what to do with myself. I'd gone nowhere and done nothing for an amount of time I couldn't measure. I'd lost track of days, existing solely in my apartment. Man, I'm relating to Shiroya deeply. It had been a major depressive episode at the very least, but getting back together with not only one friend, but 2 was the remedy for that. That was what I'd thought, anyway. Mia had died and I'd entered a coma. If I'd been living in a haze before, it evolved into a thick fog at that point. I was a shell of a person for a while, thinking almost exclusively about dangerously dark things. I was grateful that Katsuki hadn't given up on me entirely for everything I'd put him through. But it was a distinctly different situation. Rather than falling deeper into dysfunction, I had obtained a goal after going so far into the past. An abstract one, but a goal nonetheless. I kept lying there until my remaining tiredness dissipated. I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know what. I gathered the strength to sit up and looked at the window. Going off the strong light, I had slept for quite a few hours. My purse was next to the bed, so I grabbed my phone. 12:43. It's late. As the buildings in Yushibano weren't very tall, I was able to see a good deal of the snow-covered town from my room. It wasn't snowing and the sky was pretty clear. From behind the window, I felt as if I was aware of the fate of the entire town, even though what I knew was only related to a modest fraction of all those buildings. The icy air quickly got to me, so I went to the hallway, carefully walking on the wooden floor so I wouldn't stagger. I reached the heater, which I'd normally only turn on during the nights, since my parents were the ones who paid for my expenses and I didn't want to risk upsetting them.
Wow.
This'll be fine, right? Nobody's supposed to be living here, but I doubt it'll be noticed that gas and water were used. I hesitated a little, but I needed to get rid of the oppressive cold. Seconds after I turned the heater on, it let out a buzzing sound from the pipes running behind the wall. I guess even if someone does notice, it'll be at the end of this month, or maybe after that. It should be okay. I had a water bottle on the table. I never liked drinking tap water, so I always spent a bit of my monthly money on bottled water. Filters just weren't enough. I didn't bother pouring it in a glass. The hours I'd spent in Ashiya Tower no longer applied to my body, but I was extremely thirsty. To avoid grocery shopping too often, I usually had a cabinet packed with supplies. I would refill it at the beginning of every month, which was why it was almost empty. I looked inside and grabbed a bag of mixed nuts. As expected, they weren't very good, as they had sat in the cabinet all month, but I ate all of them almost instantly due to how hungry I was. Somebody's read Hitchhiker's Guide. I walked to the living room almost like it was routine. The blinds were keeping the space dim, but I rarely bothered raising them. After going to the bathroom, I stood in front of my wardrobe, wondering which clothes to change into. I'd lived alone for many months already, so I started the day as if it were a normal one. Is it worth trying to make it seem like nobody's been here? I don't know how, but if the past can be changed, I'm planning on doing it. There shouldn't be a huge need to hide my stay. Or is that right? Could it be that while I was in the hospital and at Katsuki's house, another version of me was already living here? There's no way, is there? That would mean that everything will happen as I remember it. If the past will only change if I consciously make it, it shouldn't matter whether I was already living here in the reality I know. After all, I didn't come home for the purpose of changing the past. If it's like this, and I intend to say that up until I decide to change history, everything could play out exactly as it once did. It should be confirmation that I'll be able to safely stay here until the 15th. There's nothing that makes it an impossibility, so it could be that I always lived here, and that I'm not changing the past yet. My parents never called me to say someone was living at my place, and I never learned about it otherwise before the 15th, so I can secretly stay here, right? No contradictions. I had no clue if it would work like that, but worrying about it felt pointless. I chose some casual clothes to put on and stepped back to the living room. And now what? Even though I'd spent a long while living alone in that apartment, I'd always had plenty of things to think about, all of which I'd ended up pushing aside. I wouldn't, by chance, remember a lottery-winning combination, would I? The only reason why I hadn't thought that seriously because I knew I didn't. Sai had mentioned using the Sekimeiya to win the lottery, but it wasn't actually that crazy of an idea. I didn't think it was greedy either. In fact, what felt selfish was not taking the chance when it was provided. Okay, Shiroya. If I could change the past, I would go back in time again because that would allow Mia to be saved. That meant I simply had to remember a winning number before that point. That would create the possibility of a perfect future. Was I simply daydreaming in a hellish world? As long as the past could be changed, it didn't seem so. That future certainly felt attainable. Where is the Sekimeiya right now? Ashiya should have it somewhere, but they must be protecting it from Zin, so there's no way I could touch it. Wait, no. That might not be the case. Kate and Suripo explained it to us. Joe, did I tell you the devastating thing I learned from a VOD comment about Suripo?
No, what is it?
It is that it is the Japanese like translation of police but backwards, so it's polisu but backward.
Oh.
Really upsetting for me. Really upsetting for me. Yeah. Kate and Suripo explained it to us. The Sekimeiya is merely bait for Zin to get trapped in the tower, so it's definitely there right now. Also, Vaisude was devaisu, like plot device. Enjoy.
Oh, okay. Fuck off. Okay.
Yep.
What did Ryukishi mean by this?
Yeah, what did Ryukishi mean? But wasn't it obvious? Fuck off. They also said that the mechanism to trigger the alarm is based on the cabinet being forced open. Also, Zin never attacked before the 15th. Doesn't that mean that I can change the past by going there during the night and forcing the cabinet open? It's probably not in the event room yet, but it must be somewhere unavailable to the public. Wait until you read Sekimeiya backwards, it actually spells out Undertale. Ah, shit. If I break it open, the alarm will lock me inside, and someone else will be locked in the security room. According to Kate, he hadn't been taking the night shifts recently, so it'll probably be someone else. Will they buy that I'm a Zin member? It sounded pretty dangerous. That could have been a way to travel to the past again, but if it didn't work, I would be caught by the police, ruining everything. Why were there times where touching the Sekimeiya didn't do anything? What if it just won't work before the 15th, which is why nobody noticed its powers? Even if the main entrance of the building is locked, assuming the storeroom door did lead to the outside, I could maybe enter through it. There's no way I could take the entire cabinet out without triggering the alarm. Someone would be looking at the cameras and I don't even know where the cabinet is. But to begin with, why did I go so far into the past? I still don't get that. The Sekimeiya was in the water tank, but it couldn't have been there for very long. According to Katsuki, he hid it in one of the lockers a while before that. Is it possible it gathered a lot of energy for another reason? Even thinking about it in my living room, there were many things I didn't know about the Sekimeiya. If I could be sure such a plan would work, and I knew how to go days into the past, saving Mia should have been fairly simple.
What do we think about Why does the cabinet keep the Sekimeiya cool, but like being it submerged in cool water didn't stop it from building heat at all? Is it like, is it like once it gets going a little bit, it just like exponentially gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and just keeping it like in an air conditioned cabinet stops that from getting it, and the water wasn't enough?
I'm scrolling back through it. It didn't fall into the water. It was on top of a pipe, and it didn't fall into the water.
It was in the okay. I've never seen a toilet in my life that has a tank that you could hide something in like that without being in the water. Okay, I guess that's a skill issue on my part.
So here's. Okay, so. Sorry, I'm gonna have to go back through and see this, but she went into the left bathroom. If that's the same bathroom where Naomi was found, could the Sekimeiya be from that person killing Naomi in the bathroom and then positioning themselves above the tank and then traveling with the Sekimeiya? It falls into the tank, and then that's how they leave.
Wouldn't who put the lid back on the tank?
I don't know.
Yeah,
could you hold the lid with one hand and touch the Sekimeiya with the other, and then the lid falls after you teleport? I don't know.
You could do that. You could do that for sure. Yeah. I think it was the right bathroom that had Naomi in it.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. Wouldn't the lid just teleport as well? It's not clear how that works.
It's not clear how's it on the floor of the men's bathroom. Which one is? Does it show us what the men's bathroom is? It was, yeah, she was in the right bathroom. You're correct. You're correct. Okay, so it isn't that. Okay. All right.
So she was in the bathroom that didn't have Naomi's body in it.
Yeah, she was in the other bathroom.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, dead end. Even thinking about it in my living room, there were many things I didn't know about the Sekimeiya. If I could be sure such a plan would work, and I knew how to go days into the past, saving Mia should have been fairly simple. There's no way that I'll let everything happen exactly as it did already, just so that I have a guarantee that the Sekimeiya will work, right? I was thinking that because if that much time went by, it would have been really built up.
It would have been there for a long time, yeah.
Yeah. The unknown version of me that had been seen in the tower still haunted me, but that couldn't be it. No, if I were to do that, I would also prevent Katsuki and myself from going. That's completely out of the question. I wasn't even sure about my situation. My appearance in that dark tunnel was different from all the other times. Instead of teleporting instantly, I had awakened, so I still felt like there was something I was missing. We thought about this once, didn't we? That maybe traveling very far through time would make your memories foggy? Could that be why I feel this way? Is there something that I can't remember? I wasn't sure. If there were some memories missing, I had no idea how to get them back. I stood up from the carpet and went to my room. My purse was still next to my bed. I picked it up and put it on my coat. Then I walked to the doorway where I'd left the keys I'd appeared with.
Oh, do we think we're in the timeline right now where Shiroya died and she thinks that there's a Shiroya in the hospital, but really she just left, so there's no body that was found?
I think that's possible, yeah. I think that's really possible. I think it's
so Mia might
possible.
be in the hospital right now.
Yeah, Mia might be in the hospital. Yeah. Which would make it very tough if she goes back in instead of just preventing them from going to the thing.
Okay. Need more information. Okay. Let me know when you want me to take over, by the way.
No, sorry. I have a truly harebrained idea, but I don't know if I have any evidence for it. I just think it would
those
be
are the best
really
ones.
I think it would be really funny if this were true. And it has nothing to do with this. at all. But I was thinking about it while I was making my Pepe Sylvia document. There's somebody the Shiroya is using for a save state. I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know how she came back and had her phone and stuff. Like, I think it might just be this is the shape that her body was in at this point. I don't know. This is a wild that this is the opposite of an Umi stream with your dynamics here. I came up with a crazy idea with no evidence. My crazy idea with no evidence is that certain so going back to the idea of like you probably don't agree because you don't like the traversal Sekimeiya building is Ashiya Tower building is time travel quake thingy. But what if some rooms in Ashiya Tower exist in all of the timelines at the same time?
Oh.
So like the office floor where she went, where they met Katsuki, the other Katsuki, or like something like that. Like they exist in all of the timelines at the same time, and so all of them can be quantum rooms. Yeah. So different rooms being in the same in different timelines would also account for something like, remember how when he saw the second Shiroya, she was in the hallway in the other clothes, and the two of them were in the event room. It's possible he was seeing across timelines there.
That'd be interesting. I'd like that.
Yeah.
What if the Sekimeiya just does that around itself?
The Sekimeiya could do that around itself. It could be like a zone issue. Yeah. I don't know. That'd explain why it's so isolated, having an air gap around some of them before the shutters. Yeah. I don't know. It's based on nothing. I need to go back and look at all the Sekimeiya travel. Surely that will answer my questions. Surely I will find enlightenment.
You're gonna come back and have solved the whole thing by next week.
Well, we're gonna do it together this time.
Okay.
All right. Vibe reasoning. Yeah. But like there are certain things that keep happening where like there are certain places where, or like is the floor where they talked to Katsuki the same one? The floor where they talked to Katsuki is the same one where Shiroya opened the door and saw something inside that she didn't understand, right? Or like, wait, it can't be, no, wait. Sorry. Rapidly firing up Obsidian on my computer.
Akaro.
Okay, so there was a point where Sai was the only one who heard the elevator move. And if Sai, because when they split up and they all went to different floors. So if Sai was this is when I first had this idea whenever I was making stuff. Sai went to floor 3. No, that's a different floor. But Sai went to floor 3 and he was the only one who heard the elevator moving. So what if he can hear the elevator moving and no one else can? That probably means he was in a different building, right? By next week, Mouse will morph her way into being a Seki Fuller, and this returns to the Umineko dynamic, except I can't confirm it! Alright, sorry. Anything to add?
No, I'm trying to think how that would work. I like the idea. I just don't think that is what's happening because it is. I don't know how it would work mechanically, but I do like it. It's cool.
Mouse gonna pull a pirate software
I wouldn't be
move?
like.
No.
I wouldn't be angry or anything if that was it. Like I wouldn't be like, fuck it, this is bullshit. I just don't know how it would work right now.
That's good. Aren't there some events that some people in the same place see while others there don't, like the light flash before darkness? Yeah, and the other thing is that there was the thing where when Katsuki finally made a change in the past, one person remembered it and one person didn't. But I think that's just because they were from two different timelines. So I think that's unrelated. I don't think I could pirate software my way out of this one, even if I wanted to. I don't know if you can just Google the answers to Sekimeiya. I don't want to find out though. What timeline do you think you're in now? Bad timeline. Bad timeline. What is pirate?
I almost made a really dirty joke.
Do you want to just once as a treat? So they can spam the Mets emote? Are you sure?
No, it's okay.
Okay. What is pirate softwaring? Pirate softwaring is when you go to the bathroom and Google the answer and then come back to and say it to sound smart. I need to make the was it about the lube timeline? That's a good question.
It was, they were in the loop timeline, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
Okay. I almost made an even dirtier joke. We can't be one-upping each other like that. Okay. I wanted to go outside. If it really was the first day of December and what I thought of applied, there should have been no issue with that. Nobody would be aware that I couldn't be walking in the streets. Do you like that your chat spams no flirting now? Do you like that you've instituted that?
I know what the joke would have been. I like that too. All right. Yeah.
Keep going. I put on my boots
We're
and
even
opened the
flirting.
door. As expected, the air enclosed by all the mountains was overwhelmingly cold, but I really wanted to go out. On the snow were my footprints from the previous day and some others ending at the nearby apartments. It was very rare for me to want to leave the house without knowing why. I usually only went outside with some purpose in mind. The lube timeline would make hiding the Sekimeiya easier? No.
And then you go to your chess tournament. All right, read.
I hate that. It was true that a lot of responsibility was weighing on me, but I didn't feel pressured. The freedom to make choices allowed me to remain relaxed to some degree. I looked at my purse. My wallet was inside it, containing the same amount of money I'd counted before leaving to meet Katsuki and Mia. Not that much. I closed the door and walked down the stairs. I lived close to the outskirts, and there usually weren't many people around. That wasn't too different that day, as only a handful of people were slowly walking on the sidewalk, wearing overcoats and exhaling misty breaths. Maybe I really should have thought about where to go before leaving. I walked toward the center of Yushibana, every street looking identical due to the coating of snow. There were a few parked cars and a bunch of footprints on the ground, but the environment felt pretty desolate. Everyone was inside. Everything in the immediate vicinity was residential, so I kept thinking about where to go. I guess I don't have to go anywhere. I could just come back when I get tired. This is only for today, though. I seriously need to decide on what to do. There were enough citizens in Yushibana that it wasn't very common to know people on the street. That was what allowed me to be unafraid of being recognized and questioned about being in the hospital. Wasn't she in the newspaper by name, though? Like, Sai recognized her name.
Oh, shit, you're right. Yeah.
Should I go to the tower? What would I even do? And what else is there in town? The library? How long has it been since I went there? Too long, honestly. I could try to eat something. She morbed all the way into Quebec. It had also been a while since I'd eaten anything outside. I always had to use my money well and cook at home. I guess I can do whatever I want with the money that I have. It's been duplicated. I don't know if that's how that works, Shiroya, babe. I had my purse next to me when I woke up in the hospital, so the original money is there, and I'm thinking about winning the lottery. I arrived at the busier section of Yushibana, where I immediately saw a lot more people. Looking all around, I saw that not many stores were open. This might not be a good idea. I've been to all these places at some point. Is it possible that being recognized could be problematic? Would I be changing the past if I accidentally see someone who knows I should be in the hospital? There's no way what happened wasn't on the news. Yeah, even people who don't know me could recognize me. Nothing should happen. If someone sees it as a big issue, then the past has been changed, but that seems very unlikely, and there's no way anything would happen to me. Famous last words type line. Even if I'm found out, it won't make getting to the Sekimeiya any harder. What would I do, though? I wouldn't want to let Katsuki know. I already traveled to the past alone, going against what the Katsuki in the tower said. Was I being selfish again? Potentially hindering any attempt to save Mia? I hadn't personally seen the past change yet. Only Katsuki had said that it was possible, and even he hadn't known the full specifics behind it. The worst scenario simply seemed to be me having to use the Sekimeiya on the 15th, taking advantage of the attack. I turned toward a narrower street. As expected, Ina Cafe was open. It was pretty rare for it to be closed. The barista there definitely knows me, and I need to understand better where I am. How will someone who knows me react if they see me on this day? I walked to the entrance, finally making up my mind. Through the glass, I saw that the interior was empty, and Darfy... What are we doing with Darfy, do we think?
Darfy?
Darfy. Fedar. Was wiping down one of the tables. It had been a long time since I'd been there, but there was a time in my life where I frequented the place, enjoying the calm atmosphere. This one is bad. Oh boy. On the ground was a square carpet to clean the snow off my shoes. I used it before opening the door and hesitantly walking in, immediately feeling the warm temperature. You can read for a bit.
Dorothy didn't turn around yet, so I looked at what was on the menu. Like in the past, there were light drinks and meals, as well as alcoholic beverages closer to the close to the night.
Hello?
Hello? He suddenly turned around. Whoa! Gets a Sprite?
Wow.
Oh, this does not bode well for the rest of this chapter.
Mm-mm.
Oh, wow. Ha! Shiroya!
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh my god, you're alright!
So you know what happened? They're totally in the Mia timeline. So you know what happened? I am, yes.
Of course, you were on the news. I managed a bitter smile in response to his relieved expression. I'm so glad you were released so quickly. How are you?
Okay, he thought she was in the hospital. Maybe.
Makes sense. I'm supposed to be in a coma.
I'm okay. I was released yesterday. Fortunately, nothing major happened to me.
That's really good to hear. If you came to relax and try to forget things, we don't have to talk about it.
That would certainly be convenient. It's fine. You don't have to worry.
Yeah. Are you sure? I can't imagine what it's be like to lose someone close to you at your age. I'm so sorry. Oh, we were wrong.
Oh, what if we're chaos in the fourth timeline? Katsuki died.
Oh, maybe Katsuki's dead, yeah.
Katsuki could be dead in this timeline. Thank you.
Oh, I would like that. Yeah. Do you have any idea what happened? A lot of details weren't published.
Unfortunately, no. It all happened suddenly and we were just caught up in it.
He looked down, very clearly pitying me. Do you want coffee? I'm sorry, I don't have much else right now.
No, I don't think I need any right now.
Are you sure? I can make you the Kalitsu special.
What is that?
It's nothing. That's the special. What if all three of them went back in time to change things and they made it worse? All three of them, like this fucking Spider-Man meme, all pointing at each other, like what all of them forgetting afterwards too because of the memory fog. He cracked a half-hearted smile, obviously trying to cheer me up. I tried to return the look, but I wasn't sure if my own smile was visible or not. I looked behind the glass cover where a few pastries remained.
I'm a bit hungry. I could go for this.
I pointed at one covered with dried chocolate. Of course. Give me a second. It's going to be on the house. He moved behind the bar, removed it with metallic tongs, and put it on a small plate, which he placed in front of me. Here, don't worry about asking for anything else.
Thank you.
I bit into it. I was hungrier than I thought. What will happen when he realizes that I'm still in the hospital? I haven't heard anything about Darfy in a while, so if everything were to happen as I remember, he shouldn't do anything. I really don't like having to lie to him, though. I kept eating while he washed the few dishes left. You're done? Do you want another one?
I'm okay, but thank you. Do you prefer your pastries warmed up, streamer? Yes, I do. What about you, Joe? Warm muffin?
No.
No. Okay.
A savory pastry definitely warmed up, but like a sweet pastry, no, not warmed up.
Sad.
All right. I'm seriously happy to see you, though. I couldn't believe it when I saw your face on the news.
Me too. Sorry for not coming around in a while.
Don't worry about that. Are your parents here? Darfy had to be in his late 30s, but he was a good friend of my parents who actually brought me there for the first time. I hadn't spoken to him that many times, but I figured he was familiar enough with me as he'd known me since I was a kid.
They aren't.
No? Will they come soon? They will, right?
I don't know. As of now, they'll stay overseas.
He looked puzzled and disappointed. In fact, I did know they wouldn't come. Even after waking from my coma, they would only talk to me through phone calls. Too busy with administrative work, of course. That's
fucked up. Yeah, that's fucked up. Oh, Cora wants to know, what about the greatest pastry of all, Pop-Tarts? I would put a Pop-Tart in a toaster, but the thing is that Pop-Tarts had gone so far downhill that you wouldn't catch me eating one now. Have you seen them recently? You're embarrassing.
I've never had a Pop-Tart.
Whoa! Wowee!
I've never had a Pop-Tart.
You
I've had the
missed-
legendary
whoa.
Foods gluten-free protein Pop-Tarts, but I haven't had, and they were decent. I heated those up. I haven't had a Pop-Tart.
Wowee! Would you call it a toasted Pop-Tart? I'd just call it a Pop-Tart. They're
Why
so
are you
bad
poopy
now.
buttholing?
Who, me?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Wowee!
Oh my
I haven't had a
god!
Pop-Tart.
I was surprised you never had a Pop-Tart. I don't know. I liked what were the ones where they came with a little they were like flakier, and then they came with a little packet of like the white icing that you put on those. I liked those better. I don't remember what they were called.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I think I've had those once. They were okay.
My first contact with Pop-Tarts was Neon Cat, and it made me think they were sandwich thickness. Did you know that when I posted on AOL Pokemon message boards, there was a guy there called Link64Man1, and he went on to invent Neon Cat? What do you think of that? We were friends when I was like 11. Why'd you sigh? Why'd you sigh about that?
I'm just remembering AOL message boards, okay? I'm just remembering, all right? I don't just, bad memories. Bad memories.
Mouse, you made it up? All right. That's all right. That's all right.
That's right. What will even happen now? 2 identical copies of my phone exist. How will calls work? I suppose it doesn't matter. If both phones react when they call me, I'll just have to not pick up. If only mine rings, the past wouldn't be changing. Or it would be changing.
Sorry, I never roleplayed on Pokemon message boards. That's what Joe did. I did not roleplay. I never did that.
I didn't do it on message boards either. It was private. Do you come here anytime do you come here anytime you want? Do come here anytime you want. You're more than welcome.
I will. I just wanted to leave my home today.
I completely understand. That's good for you to do.
Yeah. I think I will have coffee.
Absolutely. How do you want it?
It's pretty late for coffee, actually. I'm not sure. Anything that's not too strong and without milk or sugar.
As always, give me a second. He grabbed a short, transparent glass and filled it halfway. Do you want it alongside anything? He pointed at some bottles higher up.
Those have alcohol, right?
Yes.
Then no, I've never had any of that. Oh, Shiroya.
I understand, but maybe you should. Last thing I want to do is make an alcoholic out of you, but it doesn't hurt in small quantities.
It's okay. I'd prefer not to.
Shiroya becomes a drunk so she doesn't change the past. Oh no, he nodded and filled it all the way up. I was kind of surprised he offered. I wasn't old enough to drink, and I couldn't have gotten away with technically barely breaking the law. But I wasn't in the mood anyway. That is very odd that he would just risk his whole establishment to do that, huh? What the fuck?
I was not imagining that Shiroya was younger than 20. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why.
He left the glass. What's the legal drinking age in wherever they are?
20. It's 20 in Japan. I mean, I guess they did talk about just graduating high school, but I just didn't even think about it.
I thought about 1920 for them. Okay. He left the glass next to the empty plate. As usual, it was overly hot. I stretched my hands behind my back and looked around me. I was the only person there. A newspaper.
Oh shit! Here comes the Vine boom.
A few seats away, there was an open newspaper that someone had probably started reading and left behind. I pinched it and pulled it toward me. It should say today's date. I looked at the top right corner, and as expected, there was the date. It really is December 1st.
Is this new?
What year? The newspaper? Yes.
No, she's gonna look at the article and she's gonna see that Katsuki died. Come on.
I brought it closer and looked at the pages for current news. It was Yushi News.
Oh my god.
So events to Yushibana were highlighted along with Nanjo's perspective. Mia and I must appear somewhere in here. I flipped the pages toward the start, and as I felt it should have been important enough to put at the beginning. When I got to the initial 2, I stopped myself. No, don't tease. Here it is.
Do you think Yushi News has also aired the apology video? Oh yeah, absolutely.
The category was November, and there were many brief articles. Last one was titled Gas Explosion Late at Night. I read the tiny letters next to a black and white picture of the shop.
Oh.
Mia Moiromo. Oh, you're reading this out loud? Sorry, go ahead.
Again. Mia Moiromo, a 20-year-old girl, is the only casualty of a local gas explosion that occurred in the evening of November 30th. Shiroya Mirana, another young girl, 19 years of age, was gravely injured and immediately sent to the hospital. Her condition is critical, although she wasn't directly hit by the explosion. The incident occurred when an unknown individual released smoke that caused 4 people inside to lose consciousness. The other 2 were too far from the range to receive any serious injuries. While everyone was unconscious, a heater depleted its surrounding oxygen after its flame went out, and when a visitor turned on the lights, an immediate explosion of short radius but intense force occurred. It killed the first victim instantly and broke the floor of the shop. The second girl, Mirana, was protected by the furniture next to her but fell through the broken floor.
Big Fight Club vibes. It happened just like I remember. I'm surprised that this means that.
Me too. Yeah, I thought it would be Katsuki.
And it doesn't even say why the incident happened. Right, on the 15th, when smoke knocked us out for the second time, I thought that both incidents must have been caused by the same people. That would be Zen. Wait, it actually is this. I'm not wrong. It was caused by Zen. That's why no further details got published.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I don't remember if I put this on my conspiracy board. I think I put it on it and then removed it. But it seems like it's possible that it was jewel thieves that tried to rob both places.
That's what Katsuki told us. Zen already tried to steal the Sekimeiya once, but they failed. They almost caught the person behind it, but since they ended up escaping, it wasn't published that they've been from Zen. So this was the first attempt to steal the Sekimeiya. The Sekimeiya. Oh, is that why they can go back? Because that's where the Sekimeiya was at some point?
It's possible, yeah. Because, when did we see the jewelry shop? Was it was here. It was here. Okay. It's a jewelry shop. Musashi gemstones. Even at my age, I regularly go to the 2 mountains behind us. I found all you see here without exception. So it's possible that the owner of the shop is the one who found the Sekimeiya. It's likely that this guy found this the Sekimeiya. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But it was maybe he was meeting with the person in the suit when Shiroya was watching to talk about it.
Could it be that you get sent back to where the Sekimeiya last detected you? So when they go up into the attic, when
or registers your coordinates, basically.
Yeah. Sai had the Sekimeiya in his pocket secretly, so that's why they went up there.
This goes back to the save state idea, but specific, not just oh, I was there at this point in time. It's oh, you were there with this stuff at this point in time, and it. Oh. Okay.
What are you cooking? What are you cooking?
God. So with the thing with Katsuki having an injury that was healed on his arm. Oh, would it been that him from the future had traveled to that location and the Sekimeiya detected him there, and so it reset his body to the state that it was in the future? Because the last time it had seen him, the Sekimeiya had sensed him there, it had been him from the future, and it was partially healed. Oh,
maybe it could be that. That makes more sense, but that does mean that the body is resetting at some point in some way. Why would do that instead of the past?
The church. Yeah, I'm feeling the church. Oh,
The church. It's going to be very hard to keep track of.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to. Oh my god, this is gonna be our Monday night, isn't it? Oh, fuck.
No Palace of the Dead.
We can do some Palace of the Dead and then a little churchy as a.
Churchy of the Dread.
Yeah. What are we theorizing about? That the Sekimeiya like registers people's coordinates when it sees them, and that's how it decides where to send you. Shit. All right, I can't.
Of course, in the attic, I knew I recognized that smell. I smelled it in that shop. That's what happened there. Zin tried to steal the Sekimeiya before it was brought to Ashia Tower. The Sekimeiya was in the shop, and for some reason, Zin didn't succeed. That made sense as the outline of what had occurred, but it didn't mean anything to me aside from the fact that Mia's life had been taken during an attempt to steal a gemstone. At what point did Zin know that what the Sekimeiya would do? Or did they attempt to steal just another simple gem that Ashia had? The advertising had just started. Is it the Sekimeiya is smoke bombing like a scared jellyfish?
It's a scared jellyfish. No, I think people are releasing that gas. I think that Zin is like, at first when they mentioned Zin, I thought it just didn't matter, but unfortunately I think Zin does matter. I think that Zin is probably jewel thieves who are trying to steal this thing because somehow they know what it does. Like maybe the shop owner is double dealing, but Ashia made a better offer to him, and so he decided to sell it to them instead. And so Zin decided to try to steal it. But I think it is like attempts to steal something. But I don't know.
I just don't understand how like Naomi is like coming in with this like pomp and ceremony and being like, oh, I think you'll agree that we have something special on our hands here, and the touch is a part of the experience, and come in and open the cabinet and look at it. It's like it's just a fucking stone. Like how?
The other thing that I got hung up on is I'm in like a meta narrative trap about the fact that they wanted people to come in and touch the Sekimeiya in its cabinet, because there was literally no reason for them to do that. Like, no time in history has it been like, oh, come touch the extremely rare gemstone.
Yeah.
Because like touch erodes the surface of stuff, so you don't want people coming to your fancy show to touch it. And so like the meta literary reason for that, like the writing reason for that in the meta narrative, is to prove that it doesn't do anything when it's cold. But like why do they need the whole thing to be structured around that? Like you can just prove it otherwise. Like it's a weird choice. Joe doesn't know about the feeling you get to touch an awesome stone. Yeah, but it's bad for it.
It's like that reeks of like someone from higher up orchestrated this whole entire thing, and there was like a note saying that, oh, and by the way, you make sure that like whoever comes has an opportunity to touch the stone, so then they have to like write this like make it so that the touch is an experience coming to the cabinet, because they wouldn't know exactly how the time travel loop was going to start.
Yeah.
Everything is leading me to believe more and more to think that at some point, like one or more of them is going to go back in time and like make all of this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. But who the fuck at Ashia is gonna listen to any of these freaks? Oh my god, Katsuki went all the way back in time and started the Ashia family.
He is. Yeah. Yeah.
Ashia is just a clumsy mashup of Atsuki and Shiroya, and they're actually the Ashia family themselves. All right.
And that's why their parents are really far away, because them in the future made them go away.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all connected. Anyway, I huffed, deeply frustrated. I am kind of frustrated.
Are you?
I began to drink the coffee. I don't know what's going on in the story. And as I scanned the pages, more concise articles came into view. I read the title of one higher up on the page. Huh? Unknown man escapes from prison cell.
Oh no!
Oh, please be Sai.
I hope it's
Sai. Oh, please
I
be
hope
Sai.
It's Sai. I hope it's Sai so bad, but I think it's Akaro. But I hope it's Sai.
Intrigued by the premise, I read the body of the article. In the afternoon of November 24th, the camera of a prison cell recorded a prisoner escaping from it. What? Is it talking about a prison here? I don't think there's a proper one, Yushibana, so maybe it's just talking about holding cells in the police department. The identity of that person remains unknown. They were dressed as a prisoner, but no footage shows who they were or how they ended up in that cell. The corridor they were in was unprotected, as nobody should have been inside the cell. By the time the footage recording them was noticed, they'd already disappeared. The cell itself was unlocked, supposedly due to being vacant. There was no security in that area, so it is possible the individual left the entire building. Their identity and the way they got to that cell are under investigation, but no method to reach it, such as a hidden passage between cells, was found to exist.
It's gotta be Sai, right?
Sai from the future traveled back, yeah, and got arrested. What the hell? I never heard about this. I guess I don't watch or read the news.
The only thing that can be heard was someone gaily saying, "Ta-da!"
Next to the paragraph was a picture. It showed us a still black and white image of the footage, which displayed the bars protecting the cell. The door was open and the man could be seen leaving it. However, due to the high angle, his face could be seen, and the single detail to go off was his short, dark-looking hair. Aw, it's a Karo. God damn it. This person supposedly appeared in a cell, huh? I guess there are many unsolved mysteries I could solve by factoring in the Sekimeiya. I guess it could be Katsuki. Who's to say it hasn't been used in crimes before it made its way to Ashiya?
Or Sai time traveled so much that his hair grew long, and then he dyed his hair white because he loves Kate so much that he decided he wanted to look like him. Yeah, it could be Sai in a wig.
Sai in a wig. I downed the rest of my coffee. It wasn't supposed to be strong, and I didn't feel any reaction from it. At one point, coffee had stopped always having a positive effect on me, and sometimes it would do more harm than good, so I'd stopped drinking it frequently.
Oh, red-haired Sai. That's true.
You're done? Do you want anything else?
I'm fine.
I stood up from the stool and looked at my purse. You're not going to try to pay me, are you? Don't even think about it.
Oh, are you sure?
Of course, and come back anytime you feel like. I'm serious when I say I was really glad to see you, and I'm relieved to see that you're all right.
Okay, I really appreciate it.
Is he hitting on her? I don't want to stick my nose in your business, but I think you should talk to your parents. I can do it if you prefer. I can't believe they haven't come.
He's like our age. I don't think he should hit on a 19-year-old.
Oh, I don't think so either, but is he? Or is he just being nice?
You're just having Umineko vibes. Don't worry. I've been talking to them. I think I prefer to be alone, though.
Is that so? I see. I smiled and walked to the entrance. Seeing the desolate street from such a warm place made for a very pleasant contrast.
He's a family friend. There's no way. I have very bad news about reality chatter. Bye.
I'll see you. There are a lot of things I want to talk to you about, so come back when you want. As you can see, we're not even closed on Sundays, so it can be any day. I wish you the best to get through this. Sekimeiya Sunday.
Oh god, was Godot a social worker? Sorry, we're getting really derailed. Okay.
I nodded and left the shop. Did I look like a person bearing a lot of pain? To be talking casually and smiling only one day after Mia's death, I assumed that was the only explanation to Darfi. I unconsciously picked a side and walked away. Everything around me, existence itself, felt calm. I still wondered how that was possible. Only days previously, I questioned whether I would even speak again. Just what had happened to me? It wasn't that I didn't feel that pain as my own anymore, that I simply expected Mia's death to be overwritten. After all, even if I did erase it, my memories wouldn't go away. Had all the terrible events afterward outweighed it, made it insignificant? How did that make any sense? No matter the reason why I felt so tranquil, I liked it. Being able to feel any kind of comfort was a welcome change, even if the future was uncertain, and even if it all still revolved around the Sekimeiya. I went back to Remon Street. In the center of Yushibana, it was the largest one, ending at the town hall. No cars could go through it, and it was where you could usually see the most people.
This clearly says Trinity Street. Excuse me?
Where does it say that?
On the banner.
Oh, it's a bit smaller on my screen, that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is Moncton. It was Sunday, so it made sense that most places were closed. I thought of going to the tower earlier, but that wasn't even possible as it's closed on Sundays. While I thought about what to do next, my legs automatically turned me toward a branching street. didn't know whether to stop myself, so I continued. I hadn't really intended to go any direction in particular, but it was a path I'd taken before. As opposed to the wider street, that one was only lined by residences, and it led to a one-way road, just as I remembered it. After ignoring 2 branching paths, I turned toward Enric Avenue. From both sidewalks grew tall, skinny trees covered by the snow, elegantly draping over the path. It was a pretty place to live in, situated on the opposite side of Yushibana from my apartment. Couldn't bring myself to walk any farther, and I only stared into the distance from the corner. I was looking at Katsuki's house.
I like the Shiroya slice of life segment with herself. It's just Shiroya's solo slice of life.
Near it, I could discern some people outside of their own houses, but Katsuki's was still. I can read, I swear. I don't think I should let myself be seen. I hadn't had any reason to go there, but I knew that if Katsuki saw me, I'd end up explaining everything that had happened. While a part of me wanted to do that, it wasn't strong enough to force me.
It's Shiroya City, yeah. Yep.
Is there light? The road had very few wheel marks and no cars were allowed to park. I crossed it to get a little closer. She's playing with fire here. Yeah, he's in the living room. Through his window, it was possible to see the light on the opposite side. After waking up from my coma, he told me that he'd only left his house to go to the hospital and that he'd otherwise spent all his time miserable. I knew how he was feeling on the other side of the glass, and if I simply showed myself, I could help him. So then, why did that not feel like the best idea? I surreptitiously approached the door, wondering if it was simply because I would ideally overwrite time anyway. Since I planned to change the past, was there no need to make the reality I was in better? It also meant that if everything were to somehow play out as I remembered, the Katsuki I'd been with had always known that I traveled to the past and hadn't mentioned it so that it could happen. How likely was that? Honestly, it's impossible.
Highly likely. Highly likely.
Really?
Highly likely.
Do you think that he also figured out that he was in a story and lied to himself in his internal fucking train of thought to hide it too from even us?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I got startled as soon as I peeked through the bars of his front gate. I hadn't seen Maxie sitting in front of the wooden door, where there was no snow. He seemed afraid for an instant when he saw me, but then he ran to me, squeezing his head through the bars.
It's just me. Do you know that I should be in the hospital? What are you doing here? It's very cold.
I looked up as I petted him. I knew Katsuki wouldn't look through the window since Maxie tended to bark whenever other dogs passed by anyway. What a bad dog owner! What the fuck? I figured Umi was inside the house. Both of them had a hole in the door to enter and exit through. If nothing changes, what will happen on the 15th? I still don't understand what was with the recording. Could it really be that the exit will be locked for another month? If so, the police should take care of these two, right? I looked at Maxie's face as he happily stared back at me. If I remembered well, he was 8 and had been born on May 26th. What if Katsuki was wrong and the past can't be changed? I could change it by ringing the doorbell right now, but that's not something I want to do. Why the fuck not? Doesn't me constantly not want to do things that change the past indicate that it can't change?
No.
What if I leave a note saying that I'm fine? That didn't sound like a good idea either. There was no way Katsuki would read it and assume that I'd traveled to the past, although he would then tell me after I woke up, so it would guarantee a change.
Literally write him a note and then and have the note say, this is a weird request, but when you meet me in the hospital, say this code phrase. Like, how hard is it?
I would just ring the doorbell right now.
Well, yeah, of course, that would be easier.
When will I be able to tell whether things can change or not? There should be something I could do to confirm it. Just shout really loud. And I suppose that if it can't happen in the end, it's a given that the version of me they saw on the 15th will end up being me. Could it be that I'll have failed to conclude whether I can change the past even by the 15th? If I haven't been able to touch the Sekimeiya by then, I'll go to the tower. It just doesn't make sense that I would let everything repeat. I could prevent the recording from occurring so that Maxie and Umi aren't in danger. What if I decide to be the one who removed the handle in the storeroom and keep it so that I can leave any time? Would that make any sense? Why don't you just time travel everyone out of there and then just stay out, Lamayo? I stepped away from the door.
Don't worry, I'll be back soon.
I kept walking back, but Maxie didn't take his eyes off me until I disappeared from his view.
Bork, 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 bork.
One of Katsuki's neighbors was looking at me too, and she waved at me from a distance. I knew I'd seen her before, so I awkwardly returned the gesture. She opened her mouth to say something brief, but I couldn't hear her. I waited to see if she'd repeat herself, but it didn't seem like she'd realized I hadn't heard her. Okay.
Do you want me to take over till break?
Sure.
I don't know enough about what happened these days to do something and actually be sure I've changed the past, at least not in a non-drastic way, like by speaking to Katsuki. I could go to my hospital room and draw something on my face that I didn't wake up with. Yeah, nobody will be suspicious about seeing you in your own hospital room, girl. Good luck. I walked all the way down the street until I was back at the wider room. I seriously need to know if I'm going to be able to change what happened, and pretty urgently, too. If it's not possible, then every attempt I make at getting to the Sekimeiya before the 15th is automatically bound to fail. I love time traveling to stand outside my friend's house having social anxiety and count that as the universe telling me time travel doesn't let me change the past. Yeah, she and Katsuki really are made for each other. The time Kate said that someone from Zen had tried to steal the Sekimeiya, there's no way I'll be the person behind that, right? Would he have said so if he'd known about it? I guess if the past can't be changed and someone did attempt to steal the Sekimeiya on the 30th, I have a guarantee that I won't be caught because he didn't mention that. Oh my fuck. A lot more people than I remembered were walking up and down the stone path. As usual, most of the snow had been removed, so it didn't hinder anyone. Is this the cliff, Falzar? It's alright. I don't mind it. I tended not to like being in that busy street, but I wanted to appreciate people simply existing around me. Most of them were slightly hunched over to feel warmer, wearing scarves around their necks. I was still a little hesitant. At any point, someone could have asked me about the hospital. I could recognize a few people I'd seen before, and I wasn't sure if I was imagining the stares I felt. Are they actually looking at me? There's no way it's because I'm supposed to be at the hospital, right? I looked back, but the feeling had disappeared. I thought to myself that I was probably just pointlessly worried about that. I was directing myself back home. The cold would soon become hard to bear, and I was a little tired. Nonetheless, going outside had been as pleasant as I'd thought it would be. That egg chair Soya was true to life. They really act like this? Yes, they do. On my way to the drier roadway, I'd passed plenty of people living their own lives. Evidently, the time had only stopped for me and Katsuki. I'd left the center of Yushibana, so my surroundings felt a lot less lively. Due to the temperature, the sky was devoid of birds, and seeing other animals wasn't common. Walking on the snow became a lot harder, but I'd grown used to it more every year. I saw something wrapped around a streetlight and approached it warily. The Sekimeiya. It was a flyer marked by the touch of many snowflakes. I'd seen it before, but I didn't want to look at it. I walked away, my eyes locked on my feet. Save the animals. That's right. What if I draw something on the door of my apartment? I know that when I went home after waking up in the hospital, I didn't see anything. I think that was on the 8th, when I came home and just slept before calling Katsuki. It's very possible that the past will only change if I intend my actions to cause a change. Is it? This means that everything I've done up until now could have always happened. If I put something on my door with the intent to change the past, that could prove it can happen. I guess it wouldn't be absolute, though. I could only be sure if it's still there on the 8th. It wouldn't be an instant confirmation. But then wouldn't she just remember that it was there and then she wouldn't,
why are they so passive-aggressive about changing the past? Just do something. Don't theorize about drawing a big dick on your door of your apartment. Just go and call him.
Some self-insert in there. But yeah, broad strokes agree. Genuine question, does the name of this game mean anything Japanese? It means pretty rock or something.
Is it really?
Yes, something like that. I don't remember.
Okay.
Shiny rock or something. One of the purposes of changing the past is to prevent Katsuki and myself from going to the tower. What if I send a warning to him saying not to go? If that ends up being all I'll be able to do, I shouldn't let Bright Rock, yeah, there you go. I shouldn't let Arena and Isla go either, but I don't know where they live. I got my keys ready and put aside my musings until I got to the staircase of my apartment. I went up and unlocked the door. As soon as I opened it, the inner temperature hit me, and I remembered I'd left the heater going. Just in case, I shouldn't have it on very often. After closing the door, I left my boots on the floor, my coat on a wooden hanger, and went to turn the heater off. I was beginning to feel a little dubious and nervous about Katsuki's assertion. Did the Sekimeiya really have the power to let someone alter the past? I'll find out right now. I just need to decide that my next action will change history. Wait, that would be very thoughtless, for God's sake. I thought of calling Katsuki Stone for a second and then hanging up. As long as I did that, the past would change. He'd never told me about a call like that. But I couldn't do it. We're getting fucking edged. It would tell him that I'd woken up and then he'd find out otherwise. I hadn't thought it through. Is there anything else I could do to get the same result? Oh, I can call my parents. When I talked to them on the phone, they definitely would have told me about receiving a call from my phone on December 1st. Alright, so should I just consciously aim to change the past? Where the fuck did she get that idea, by the way? Did we see anything suggesting that you have to consciously try to change the past, or is this just a Shiroya hallucination special?
It's just the two of them are special about this, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Alright. I'm so happy Shiroya isn't as irresponsible with her time travel powers as Mouse would be. You don't even want to know. This won't get me into trouble, right? They'll simply call the hospital and nobody will understand what happened. I took the phone from my purse and looked at the screen. It was almost 3 o'clock. I went to the contacts list, selected my mom, and pressed the call button. The signal usually wasn't great, so I got closer to the window. Immediately after the first beep, I heard a voice.
Shiroya, how are you? I'm so glad you called. We were so worried.
My mom's voice came through the speaker, her disturbance making her sound a little distorted.
Hello, are you there? What happened? You're okay, right?
I didn't want to speak, so I pressed the red button and cut the call, surprised to feel a sharp heartache as I did so. I see, the past can be changed. Katsuki was right. A call request appeared, Mom listed as the name. I didn't pick it up and simply waited it out. No other call came afterward. They must have called the hospital. I let out a nervous breath and closed my phone. Why did I travel so many days back? That doesn't make sense. Were we wrong and the time the Sekimeiya spent out of the cabinet wasn't what influenced the time travel?
I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed that both her and him have done like this. Can I change the past in this like fucking just like wet noodle way that could just easily be explained, but like someone they just didn't mention the phone call or just no one heard the knock or oh my god. Oh.
Yeah, Sarah says I'm genuinely having a where's Sai moment because I want him to show up to fuck up her whole let's do the smallest possible thing to prove the past can change. Yeah, I'm with you.
What would Sai do? Sai would like fucking like get himself in prison and escape from it just to show that he could.
That is what Sai would do. That is what Sai would do. Yep. It's not possible it spent enough time in the water tank to send me here. Either way, what's important is that I can replicate it. Before the 15th, if I'm not able to get the Sekimeiya, I can change the past and prevent Katsuki and myself from going to the tower. The 15th is the only time where I'm guaranteed to be able to touch the Sekimeiya. There will be the attack and people will fall unconscious, probably except the attacker. If that period of time isn't enough, I'll have 12 hours to use it, during which people will get trapped again. If it comes down to it, I might have to think of how to take advantage of what happened. When the smoke went off, there were many places that weren't hit. Since the past can be changed, even though the Sekimeiya must currently be in the tower to bait an attack from Zin, it's possible that I'll be caught by the police if I try to go and touch it before the 15th. Just which option is better? At least if I get trapped by myself on a night before the 15th, the only person trapped with me will be the person in the security room. I only need to learn how to jump days into the past, which should be a lot more feasible if there aren't 7 other people there. I really appeared just minutes too late to save Mia. That's ridiculous. Oh, she's gonna get trapped with Kite and jump him out of there, and that's why he isn't in the third timeline.
I wonder if the Katsuki we just saw in the apartment was the one that escaped from prison
Whoa.
and is also from the past.
Oh, shit. Instead of appearing instantly, I felt like I woke up. When I touched the Sekimeiya in the water tank, the heat around it was clearly a lot stronger than every other time. So the heat it releases is related to the distance traveled, but the way it increases might be different from what we thought. I should probably try to eat something. I went to the kitchen. I didn't like cooking and I wasn't great at it, but I'd lately gotten used to making my own food as I didn't have many alternatives. When I'd been living at Katsuki's house, I'd only eaten by heating up prepared food that I couldn't afford. I opened the fridge and, as expected, there wasn't much to choose from. I was hungry due to walking around in the cold, so I wasn't picky. A bit of meat remained in a plastic tray. I really only kept buying it because my parents used to. I grabbed it and looked at my side. Thankfully, the frying pan was clean. I usually avoided using oil because the sizzling always started. Oh my god, sizzling
What
always
are we
started.
doing? What are we doing?
Part 1 of a Higurashi episode. I usually avoided using oil because the sizzling always startled me, and as a result, I'd basically stopped caring about eating things that were plain. I ignored the full bottle and heated up the empty pan for a few seconds, then I carefully placed the last pieces of meat on it and took a step back as they cooked. After staring from a few seconds back, staring from a few steps back for a while, I used chopsticks to flip the chunks of meat around, forcefully ungluing them from the surface. I added salt and spice powder, garnished them the best I could, and cut it all up. The meal looked exactly like every other time I'd prepared it, and I brought it to the living room. Hey, I only thought she was going to wander around the town having stupid time travel thoughts. I didn't know we were getting this. This is what most of Fate Stay Night is like. Well, now you know you're not reading it. I left the plate on the table and sat on a cushion. This doesn't even make sense. Where are the others? Yeah, it does look good. Scran. I thought of something that should have come to mind much sooner. Katsuki, Arena, Sai, and maybe Akaro. What about Isla? Oh no, she's, well, not yet though. A bunch of people who must have been outside the tower too. Where are they? I'd been assuming I traveled alone, but that doesn't make any sense if we were at least right about one thing. If the range of the Sekimeiya was related to how far you went, there's no way the lobby wasn't included given that I traveled more than 2 weeks to the past. Where are they? I had to have made someone else time travel with me. And everyone should have appeared at the same time that I did, but I'm also not sure. I was immediately aware right after the touching the Sekimeiya and passed out for a little while, so who knows when that would be. Was our understanding of the range incorrect too? If the range equaled the size of a crystal room when we traveled less than an hour, traveling 15 days must have been extended far outside the tower. I grabbed a slice of meat and brought it to my mouth. It's not good at all. Not Scran. The taste was weird, but the spice did its job at obfuscating it. Weird. Ashia and the police were right outside the tower. If they traveled to the past, I'm sure information about that would be widespread. There's no way a bunch of people traveling through time wouldn't create an uproar. I appeared late on November 30th, where I'd been on that day. When we were in the tower, we thought about going 10 minutes back, but appearing where we'd been 5 minutes before traveling. Does something like that happen again? Maybe I appeared at, 9:10, where I'd been at 9 o'clock, so my old 10 wasn't there anymore. My old self wasn't there anymore. If I showed up exactly where I was at the time, I would have replaced my old self, and now I know that didn't happen. It's just like pages of bullshit, because she's saying nothing. Oh, we're back in chapter 1.
Oh.
We definitely knew that definitely know that the location you appear is based on a past one. If multiple people from Ashia or the police were sent to the past, they might have all appeared in the same area, like their workplace. Why are you saying cinema? Even if I tried to explain it like that, it didn't make a ton of sense. The range had to be immense, not just big enough to encompass the policeman right outside. I ate more, trying not to chew much. Shiroya, you gotta chew, girl. You gotta chew. Shiroya travels back in time, and then she dies by choking on her food, and that's the article Sai saw in the newspaper, and that's how he says that he knows she's dead.
Because she tried to change the past. Does it bother you that the edge of the TV is sticking out over the TV unit?
Oh my god, I didn't even see that till now. Oh, I mean, the center of gravity is still fine, but like, why would you do this? I ate more, trying not to chew much. I wasn't sure if the meat was bland or just plain tasted bad, so I could avoid finding out by not biting into it. I bet we were just mistaken about the range as well, or maybe it wasn't necessarily that. Maybe the range and the time the Sekimeiya spun out of the cabinet were related. That'd still make some sort of sense. Because again, when I touched it, it couldn't have been there for too long. Stupid Shiroya. And the range couldn't have been that large either, so the question should only be why I went so many days into the past. What if it's just random? It just does what it wants. We kind of let go of that thought because we didn't want it to be true, but it would make enough sense. I stopped eating. The aftertaste was getting worse and the hunger had somewhat faded. This could be really bad. If I was the only person who traveled, then everything I'd thought should still apply. On the other hand, if a bunch of other people went with me and there's no news about it, I have no idea what will happen. Zin members from the future could be here. They would know about the incident and about the secret alarm. And if they do, they know what to expect and would alter their plans on the 15th.
She hasn't even checked the news.
Even if Ashia members or the police are here from the future, as long as they somewhat understand what happened, there's no guarantee the events of that day will happen again. If Sai also... Yeah, I miss Mia really bad. If Sai also traveled, there's no way he won't try to steal the Sekimeiya before then, when nobody else seemed aware of its powers. I didn't consider that more people could be here with the same intentions that I have, aside from the original Zin plan. I bit my lip. If more people had traveled from the future, anyone could change the past, significantly obstructing me. My phone insistently vibrated against the table. It was another incoming call. I leaned in to look at the tiny screen on its back. My mother again. I imagine she was told I still haven't woken up. I let the ringing continue, but it stopped very quickly. Hi, Mouse. It's me. The T-Pluffin on your shoulder. Would you believe me if I said Shiroya City has parks and it's a good neighborhood? It looks really nice. I just don't want to live there. Huh. Did she just hang up?
No, someone answered.
Yeah. Maybe not. Right now, my original phone should be next to me in the hospital. If the call showed up on both devices, it's possible someone picked it up from there and it stopped ringing here. I let myself fall back on the floor and waited to see if she'd call again.
Do you remember when you were a kid and you had like a landline and you could pick up the other phone in your house and listen to the conversation?
Yeah.
That was a good time.
And then you could hear people breathing.
Yeah.
That was break time. It's break time. That was a good time for a break, I think.
Is it break time? I'm gonna go get some cookies. I want some cookies.
Yeah, I'm gonna make some tea and I need a snack, so I'll be right back. Be right back.
Time. Oh, I'll see if I can make a tea too. Be right back.
Alright. I'm gonna swap to the BRB screen and turn on the music. We haven't used the BRB screen in a while. There you go. Hello, chat. We're back. We're back. I had an apple.
I had a protein bar.
It was good. Neither of us had a cake pop. Sadly.
That you know of.
All right. You want to read to me for a while?
Sure. Hold on. Just need to take a sip of tea.
How's your slice of life break from the slice of life? I had a slice of apple, actually. Slice of apple break.
Apple.
After the theorizing, does Joe have your pillow? I don't know. Do you have my pillow? Do you want it?
I don't think either of us are on a pillow. Just because one person did more theorizing doesn't mean the other person did nothing. Like, what do you mean?
The pillow is challenging his masculinity.
Exactly. All right. There'd be no new calls, and I hadn't sat back up. I've been lying there for quite a while, so hunger started to claw at me again. I looked through my food supplies that morning, so I knew no instant noodles were left. I lay there for a while with no strength to stand.
It's such a funny sorry to derail us immediately. It's such a funny detail that Katsuki and Shiroya are both just like neats living off their parents alone in their apartments doing nothing on like a monthly allowance. It's so funny. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's suspicious. I mean, it makes it, I feel like this is one of the things where I feel like it made it possible for her to do what she's doing right now. You know what I mean? Like she couldn't just come live in her place if her parents weren't there. So it feels like this is one of the things that's been reverse engineered for convenience.
That's why it's suspicious to me. So it's a coincidence or it's a part of the story. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's fine. Some coincidences are all right in small doses.
Katsuki and Shiroya are neat, so that's the first thing I heard. They are. How does Sai make a living? He's obviously David Blaine street magician walking around with a little cup asking for tips. That's how.
Sai has the best collection of bored apes that he sold to people. For
oh
sure.
No! Yeah. Don't do that to my boy. All right.
Should I go buy something? I don't mind spending the money I have. Wait, I can't. It's Sunday. It is Sunday.
No.
I sighed, both frustrated and relieved. I kept staring at the ceiling, noticing the sky turning dark through the gaps of the blinds. Thankfully, even though people lived on the other side of the walls, they tended to be very silent.
He certainly gets tips. Love the Mets.
My phone vibrated again, even more briefly than before.
Oh, there is no sound. Oh, shit. 1 second.
I can hear it.
They can't hear it.
Okay.
1 second. Maybe I need to delete it here. And then it will simply work. Will it simply work? It simply works. Sorry, it took the capture priority.
I finally got up, supporting my body with one arm. As I did so, I realized what that had been. Oh, it's just gonna be that message. Picked up my phone and flipped it open. As I thought, the expected message was on the screen, so I dismissed it with a button. Today at 9:51, a deposit of 20,000 yen was transferred into your bank account. This will be reflected in 3 to 4 business days. The time showed 15:57. 5:57. I received that message on the first day of every month with the monthly money my parents and I had agreed on. You agreed on it? It said the payment had been confirmed in the morning, but it was normal for me to receive the message many hours later.
Sorry, I'm doing math. In 2011, this would have been about $250 per month.
Okay, and she has to do. That's not a lot.
No, it's
for yeah. It's livable though if everything else is paid for, right? If this is just for her food and for fun, like it's livable, but that's
not good.
meager.
Yeah,
that is good. Meager. Yeah, I remember seeing that message days after I woke up, so it just appeared on both phones. Either that, or back then I hadn't been living here, and now it only appeared on this one. I could use this money if I need to. I didn't buy anything when I was staying at Katsuki's house, and I definitely didn't check my recent transactions, so it shouldn't be noticed if I take it. But you're allowed to change things. I yawned. Despite lying down for a while, I felt lethargic. It was still somewhat early, and the hunger had fully returned. However, I didn't feel like eating anything I had, and even less so like making it myself. I went to drink some water and left the plate in the sink. The lingering warmth of the heater had almost disappeared, so I turned it back on. I guess I'll buy more food tomorrow. If it's possible that more people travel to the past with me, and I intend to try to find Sekimeiya for the 15th, I should do as soon as possible before anyone else who's possibly here can beat me to it. Even with the heater on, I had to sleep with nightwear during the winter. I was tired enough to go to bed, so I put it on. No light was coming from the window. The sun had set very early, giving me the impression that it was already time to sleep. I lowered the blinds, which I'd forgotten to do the previous night. Then I turned off the light and made my way under the blankets in the dark. More fireworks tonight? As always, I left my phone on the bedside table next to me so I could check the time after waking up or set an alarm. I wonder if the fireworks are like a signal to other time travelers to come to where the fireworks were. I hugged the pillow and closed my eyes. It had been a pretty messy day. Aside from the arriving from the future aspect, I'd had many similar days that year.
Yeah, just that one small difference.
The reason why I'd been able to relax and enjoy the tranquility was probably simple. My preoccupations were much different from the usual.
Shiroya, girl. We gotta talk. You gotta do something, man. Like, maybe get a volunteer gig. You said that there's a library nearby. Maybe they'll take volunteers. You like animal shelters around. You like animals. You like the dog. You gotta get out of the house. Even if you don't want to get a job, you gotta get out of the house. This isn't good.
I just know that her and Katsuki were made for each other after this part. Like, oh my god. Those days were bound to end. I'd eventually have to find a job or study far from home. The weeks without obligations were ideal, but the feeling of wasting them was what made them stressful. I'd rarely been able to feel so calm, even though I still had very serious concerns on my mind.
Do you know what thought I just had? They didn't mind being locked up in the room with the egg chairs because it's literally no different from their everyday lives anyway.
Oh no.
They do nothing, they stay inside, and they only talk to each other anyway. They literally no difference. That sounded good to him because they don't do anything else anyway.
And they also didn't have sex for the 100 years either, yeah. Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
No
exact
difference.
Same thing.
It was just a fantasy about doing this forever.
Yeah. I hated thinking about it, but what would I do in the future? My parents wouldn't keep sending me money for many more months. So what job could I find? You're going to win the lottery. And I was only a little interested in studying medicine, but I didn't want to move. I'd have to spend years and years pursuing it. Of course, it was expensive too, so I felt I had to completely discard the idea. What I had to do was very important. I had to erase Mia's death and make sure Katsuki wouldn't go to the tower. If I could travel to the past and win the lottery, I would do it. If it wasn't an answer I never imagined, but it was perfect.
And all invested in moon tourism.
It's almost perfect. There's this huge problem. The past can be changed, but the way it happens, even if I am able to save Mia, two versions of myself will remain. I have to assume that's how it'd work. It's the most logical answer, isn't it? Neither of us would blink out of existence. And here it goes. Here it goes. Now she's going to realize that she has to make sure that this version of herself and the past version of herself go through the loop, and it's a future version of herself that has to be there, and then it just everything leads to that. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. What would I do? Claim my lottery prize and go live on the other side of the world while the other version of me stays with Katsuki and Mia? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want that. It sounds ridiculous too. Sounds awesome. Is there even a solution here?
Bash the other version of yourself over the head to give her anime amnesia, and then when she wakes up, tell her that you're her twin and she's estranged from your parents, and then give her a bunch of money to go live on the other side of the world, and then just send her away.
What could go wrong? I suddenly felt the same way I did every time I thought about my future. Neither answer was any good at all. There's no way around it, right? I couldn't just show up in front of the three of them and explain everything, could I? In reality, after saving Mia, the Sekimeiya would still exist, and it's not like its existence could stay a secret. I have no idea what would happen. I guess that if I can get to the Sekimeiya before the 15th, I could get it again after Mia is safe. At the very least, if I had it, that would prove I'm right, and nobody else could steal it from Ashia later on. I doubt I'd be questioned if I appear in front of another version of myself, though.
No? I would question myself.
I would question myself, too.
I would question myself thoroughly, thank you.
Is it morning? I looked at the window behind me. Through the upper gaps of the blinds, faint light was entering the bedroom.
If we're gonna go through all 14 days of this like this, I'm gonna have a problem.
Yeah. I'd slept well and likely for a long time. I missed the room searching. One day closer to the 15th, I'm just in a countdown. I wonder where the Sekimeiya is now. If Zin had already failed to steal it once, are they already planning their daylight attack?
We're getting smiley faced in the chat by people, by the way, who didn't even bother to read it themselves and just went into the Sekimeiya thread and asked to be spoiled on us just so they could send smiley faces in chat like that.
What?
Just so you know. I'm calling them out. I'm calling them out. I'm calling them out.
Wow.
Hi, Ironwrath. You're leaving now? You want to read Sekimeiya for yourself eventually? Okay. Have fun. Thanks for stopping by. I did accept your friend request live on stream.
See you later, Ironwrath.
See you later, Ironwrath.
Did I read this line?
Nope.
I didn't? I wonder if where the Sekimeiya is now. If Zin had already failed to steal it once, are they already planning their daylight attack? I sat up and leaned against the pillow. The room was still pleasantly warm, a luxury I appreciated. I reached for my phone to look at the time. It showed 9:07, confirming how long I'd slept. Kate said that the Sekimeiya had been found recently on a nearby mountain. Could that be true, though? Was it a stone with time-traveling powers on a mountain next to Yushibana?
Thank you, Ironwrath, for gifting a tier 1 sub to Sekimeiya. Appreciate that, Ironwrath. And thank you, Weeby, for saying 100 line pacing is this, but for 200 hours. Do you still want to stream it?
Subathon is looking more and more likely as time goes on.
I've read this myself, and chapter 3 is genuinely my favorite chapter. I'm sorry. You got to know about me that I cannot deal with pacing like this. I don't read Fate Stay Night. I don't read 100 line. This is not my thing.
If I'm doing it, your boy's getting paid. Like, just, I don't know.
I like our idea of you doing of alternating the subathon and then me reading a completely different visual novel while you're offline.
Remember 11?
Maybe. I'm behind in Sekimeiya's VOD, so have a good stream. Well, thank you for stopping by anyway. Alright. Lock in.
It doesn't even make sense. The place he described would have been close to where Katsuki and I used to go as kids. That place is mostly ignored nowadays because it lacks caves. If the Sekimeiya was found there, it shouldn't have been inside the mountain. That's really strange, though. It's been snowing a lot recently. If the Sekimeiya was simply sitting around, it would have been deep under the snow. Again, this is really suspicious. So the Kate story was false, or the Sekimeiya had recently been left there and wasn't completely buried by the falling snow when someone found it or used it. Neither option makes much sense. Why would it be put there? It's rare for anyone to go up there, so maybe they expected it to not be found, but that's insanely coincidental. Just a few days ago, where was the Sekimeiya? I can't seriously think that it was on that mountain for all the years I've lived here. What exactly is the likelihood that it was left there recently? Maybe there actually could be a reason behind that. I languidly reached for my phone again and opened it. On the screen was an icon that I hadn't clicked on for a very long time. It said, browser.
You know what the good thing is, though? This isn't giving us any new information whatsoever, so it gives us time to catch up on the chart.
It's free time. Free parking.
Yeah.
My phone could connect to the internet at all times. It was extremely slow, and I never used it. Before my parents had left, we had local internet access, but they shut it down once they took their laptop away. I pressed the button and waited for a white screen to load. I had to look away from the glaring brightness, falling back onto the pillow. Weeks ago, who had the Sekimeiya? If someone had it, is it possible it was already given that name? I don't think Ate mentioned who named it. If I recall correctly, he said that it was found on the 27th, and Ashia announced the event on the 29th, 3 days ago. That's fucking fast. If I search for the word Sekimeiya, I'll probably just find mentions of Ashia's announcement. I wonder if I could find an instance of that word from before the 29th.
Okay, so actual piece of information here, though. If Ashia announced the event on the 29th, it was found on the 27th, they got blown up on the 30th. That means that Ashia already decided to buy the... If the shop owner did find the Sekimeiya, that means that Ashia had already bought the Sekimeiya from the shop owner whenever it got blown up.
Which is very bold.
Yeah.
You know, they also are like, they're planning the whole entire thing even before that happens too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Search engine loaded, and I consider what I had to what to type into it.
Oh my god, the flip phone.
Is it possible to find traces of the people who want to steal it? I wonder if what happened on the 30th was an attempt to steal a Sekimeiya, even though it wasn't publicly stated. Could there be any mention of this somewhere online? John Tider time? I knew Ashia's announcements would cover up what I wanted to find, so I set the results of the search to be ordered by oldest first. To truly find the first recorded instance of the word, I typed Sekimeiya and pressed the search button.
I was thinking about him.
What's that?
I was thinking about him whenever the person went online and posted about the Sekimeiya and that one ending.
Did you read about that as it was going on?
Yeah, I did read about that as it was going on. Yeah, I also read.
It blew my mind when it blew my mind when Steins Gate actually incorporated that. Like I was like, I know this shit, yeah. And then Steins Gate got shit. The white screen returned with a slowly filling blue bar on top, which I patiently watched finish. I lost myself in anticipation, forgetting to even blink. Just when had the word Sekimeiya been recorded for the first time? I doubted I would find valuable information about Zin, but that shouldn't have been out of the question either. The results all appeared at once. I glanced at all of them hastily, reading common pages titled in blue, reporting Ashia's announcement on the 29th. Wait, what's this? The Sekimeiya incident might happen soon? It was the very first entry. Below it, in gray, I read the creation date. Written on the 24th of November. Did I find it? Here we go. I pressed down once to highlight the text and clicked on OK. Once again, the screen turned white and began to slowly load the page. When did we find about this? It was in one of the bad ends, wasn't it?
I thought so. What was it called? Wait, what did she just say?
Just do Sekimeiya incident. I think that would do it. I think. No.
It was the end of chapter 1 or 2? It wasn't the end of chapter 2. I think it was the end of chapter 1. You just got to Zeal and Chrono Trigger. Nice. A toggle off exact match. Yeah, that's probably... Oh, Lord.
Zeal is the best part of Chrono Trigger, IMO.
Yeah, I think so too. What about website? No. It was at the end of chapter 1. It had to be.
I thought it was a message board.
I thought so too. What about November 24th? On the 24th of November, Zin attacked again. Okay. Okay. There we go. Lone threat amidst the vast internet. Oh, forum. Sorry, my bad. Amidst the vast internet was a specific forum thread. The date showed it had been written in the afternoon of November 24th, 2011. It contained two paragraphs. I swear this is all the truth. I'm not messing around. I'm a bit scared though, and I'm not sure what to do. I think I just woke up from a really strange dream. It felt hyper-realistic and I'm still shaking. I don't know if it means anything. Maybe it was a premonition. I'm not sure. However, I'd be careful on the 15th of next month. If I don't say this anonymously, I'll be laughed at or even fired. On the 15th, okay, Ashia will hold a big event in the tower and there will be a terrorist attack.
So like Shiroya is about to read this, but when was this in the story? Was it?
This was at the end of chapter 1. It was like when the chapter 1 did like the credits and then had like 3 extra scenes or whatever.
It wasn't a bad end. Okay.
It wasn't a bad end. It would be called the Sekimeiya. Okay. Some people even got trapped inside, but I don't know what happened to them. I can hardly believe it's still the 24th, and I don't know what I'm doing at my parents' house. I've been suffering from a few mental issues. I've been living alone for 2 years while my condition have gotten worse and worse. So not Arena. Not Arena or Isla.
Mia?
Maybe Mia. Maybe Mia. Maybe Sai. I think Mia or Sai is the most likely.
Maybe Sai.
Or Naomi. Yeah,
Sai.
Naomi is viable, but Naomi... Okay. Alright. The identity of the... It said, like, the identity of the poster was never released, but some people figured it out. Shut up late, what's the theory crafting currently going on? Shiroya is about to read the forum thread that was in the first timeline at the very end of chapter 1. Do you want me to take over for a bit?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. There'd been a brief preview below the title, but I'd advanced before reading it fully. However, it seemed that whoever wrote it was pretty disconcerted. I waited for the stream to transition, blocking out anything else in my field of view. Meanwhile, I looked at the URL website and recognized it as a well-known forum used worldwide. Ooh, the loading screen seemed much slower that time, and I worried it would just hang. I held my breath every time the progress bar froze. The screen turned gray and the header of the website appeared. Instants later, the rest of its contents popped up in a flash. Reddit was, I don't think, around in 2011.
It's not Reddit.
It's gotta be 4chan. Yeah.
It's 4chan. Yeah.
It's 4chan or 2chan. I relaxed my eyes, the darker screen reducing the strain. Then I attempted to read the 2 blocks of text below the title, displayed in minuscule letters. I swear this is all the truth. I'm not messing around. I'm a bit scared though, and I'm not sure what to do. I just woke up from a really strange dream. Blah blah blah. I felt hyper realistic. I'm still shaking. Reddit was launched in 2005. Oh shit, that's way earlier than I thought. I still think it's 4chan though. I don't know if it means anything. Maybe it was a premonition. I'm not sure. However, I'd be careful on the 15th of next month. If I don't say this anonymously, I'll be laughed at or even fired. On the 15th, Ashia will hold a big event in the tower, and there will be a terrorist attack. It will be called the Sekimeiya. Soon, maybe they'll announce it. I don't think I'm a prophet or anything, but I'm still trying to calm down. This time it felt too real to let it pass. Speechless, I scrolled the page down so I could read the entirety of the following paragraph.
Mia read this, and that's why she got the tickets.
That's what I dreamed. It's so bizarre. I still think it might... Yeah, Mia does seem like a 4chan user. I still think it might have really happened. That's why I feel the need to post it, in case it actually means something. Do not go to that event if it happens. Some people even got trapped inside, but I don't know what happened to them. I think something might be wrong with me. I don't know why, but I'm not home. I can hardly believe it's still the 24th, and I don't know what I'm doing in my parents' house. Sorry to rant about this, but I need to let it out somewhere. I've been suffering from a few mental issues, but nothing has been as bad as this. I've been living alone for 2 years while my condition has gotten worse and worse. I feel I can't continue on my own, and letting people around me know it might be a horrible idea. Anyway, maybe some of you will have some advice. I know posting here isn't the most effective thing, but it's very hard for me to talk about this out loud. Thank you for reading. It makes it sound like they weren't the person who got trapped inside, but maybe it's because they got out.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh wow, Balder says, I believe it's nondescript forum software because neither Reddit nor any of the chans allow for sorting by oldest. Hot damn, Balder.
Nondescript forum software.
That was where it ended. I looked at the username on the post and read 7MDAG. Astonished, I read it through it all again. 7MDAG. What do we think?
7MDAG. What was Mia's last name again?
I don't know. I don't know if we learned that. Oh, we did learn that in right in here. Yeah.
The paper, yeah.
Yeah. How about I search for this?
Mori Romo.
Yeah. Okay, so not that.
Mori Romo. Okay. Or Mori Romo. Okay.
AG could be a Caro too.
7MD AG. It could be a Caro. A Caro could be that, yeah.
Yeah.
7MD.
AG Cook, pretty good producer. +2, I love PC music. Some of my favorite music. Agaro, true.
I'm not getting it.
Connect on this offline, August. I'm not getting it either. Who is this? There's no way it's from the people who organized the attack. The Sekimeiya hadn't been given to Ashia yet, and they wouldn't know people will get trapped since the alarm's existence was supposed to be a secret. Could it be that someone from Ashia posted this? If not, they must have not have seen it because it reveals that someone knew about the alarm. Even though Ashia didn't have the Sekimeiya on the 24th, is it possible this person knew they'd obtain a gem to use as bait and what they'd name it? You just know this is going on the conspiracy board, by the way. There's no way. This could only be one thing. Someone who traveled from the future, from the 15th. If it's not that, whoever posted this knew about the Sekimeiya's powers. I can hardly believe it's still the 24th, and I don't know what I'm doing at my parents' house. Did they appear there from the future? Some people even got trapped inside, but I don't know what happened to them. If I'm right, this person must have been outside the tower. They knew some of us had gotten trapped, but not what was happening inside. Then, before 9, they traveled to the past. I thought about that for a while. Was it possible such a thing had happened? If they were outside the tower and suddenly traveled, did people see that? Did someone from inside the building travel to the 24th and bring this person with them? That can't be, right? It's the same thing I thought about regarding my own travel. It would have been an immense range, and it would have picked up so many more people, including me. Maybe I have this wrong. If the recording was genuine, the exit wouldn't have unlocked after 9 o'clock. That could be why this person doesn't know what happened to us, and they could have traveled after the 15th. Maybe when they did, nobody else was outside the tower, and that's why only one person traveled. I got really confused. None of my ideas seemed very reasonable. Does this confirm that what we thought about the range was completely wrong? Now it's not only my travel that doesn't make sense. There's no way this person knew all of this without being present on the 15th. Even if they somehow knew what would happen, what's the reason to post it online? The only people who would know about the alarm ahead of time would be Zin members or Ashia, two groups that would never publicly post this. Traveling from the future and posting it makes far more sense. I read it one more time, and what they described sounded exactly like they had been sent fairly far back in time.
Yeah, so what she's saying right now is that this person went further back in time than she did, right? By 6 days?
Yes.
Almost a week further back. Okay.
Yep. If it was Akaro, it would explain why he trusts Shiroya. That's true. That's true. But if that's it, who made that travel happen? Whoever did would have disappeared from the tower. Was it Akaro? When we left the attic's bedroom, we found the Sekimeiya powered off in a hallway B room. After that time, I didn't see Akaro again, and he could have touched it. Also, the rest of us but Sai were in the attic, so maybe that's why we didn't travel alongside Akaro. But much later, Katsuki said that he'd seen him. Maybe I'm wrong. If the range isn't an obstacle, anyone could have gone far back. Then they either could have re-entered through the storeroom or been inside since that morning. It's also possible that I believe in this because of a book that I've read that was almost certainly an inspiration for this visual novel, but I can't say more without spoiling it. Yippee!
Meta spoilers.
Yep. It's also possible
Meta spoilers.
The Sekimeiya was taken out through the storeroom at some point, and that's how this person traveled without affecting anyone nearby. If this person was outside the tower and went to the past alongside someone who activated the Sekimeiya, would they have thought that they'd experienced a hyper-realistic dream? Wait, also, even if they somehow knew what would happen, what's the reason to post it online? Nobody would, well, they would know about the alarm, but they wouldn't know about the Sekimeiya at that point, because the Sekimeiya wasn't found yet on the 24th. Is that what you realized, Outson? If this person was outside the tower and went to the past alongside someone who activated the Sekimeiya, would they have thought that they'd experienced a hyper-realistic dream? That sounds pretty strange, but I suppose there aren't many more interpretations. They don't exactly seem to have a record of being mentally stable. So did this thread always exist? Did the event still occur when the Sekimeiya's existence had been foreseen days before its announcement because nobody saw this? Did this person not try to make waves once it was announced? Shiroya! How have you not fucking realized that this answers your question about whether the past can be changed? You stupid girl! Okay, alright. Anyway. I tried to keep scrolling down and realized that the page was larger than I'd thought. Below the initial post was a short reply. Yeah, right? If you can see the future, do me a favor and PM me tomorrow's lottery numbers. That'd be sick. I'd make a nice long reservation at that comfy Damsky resort place. Always wanted to go. The poster was, I love Angie. The poster was, I love Agatha Demon. I went down farther and saw another reply by the original poster. I'm telling the truth. I've cooled off, but I still feel like I shouldn't be here. I'm not the crazy one. I just spoke to my parents and they also said I shouldn't be here. There's no way it's the 24th. I can't believe any of this. They also said I shouldn't be here.
What the fuck does that mean?
She knows that she's the protagonist of this chapter. That means that she uniquely has zero agency in this story that's being told around her. Oh, I see. Got it. I don't know what the fuck that means. What does it mean you shouldn't be here? Oh god, it's her own post, maybe. The next reply had been posted 1 day later. Below it, the dated entry showed it had been sent on the 25th of November at 8 o'clock. But where's my lottery number? Oh god, it is her!
It's not. It's not. It's not. It can't be. It can't be.
Oh yeah, they said that she said she would get fired. The poster said they would get fired, and she can't get fired. Okay. Alright, it's so safe. I was excited to go buy my ticket. I don't know if you're just bored, but there's not much time until the 15th. Don't worry, I promise you I won't go if what you're saying happens. Next, a third person had left a comment. Their name was Rent-A-Liver. Are you someone from Sasamiyuki? Is this what you all do now? If this event at the skyscraper is actually announced, it'll confirm I'm right. Are you trying to scare people off from going? I bet you're not even from Yushibana. I frowned and tried to remember what I knew about that name. Is that a oh, we're not introducing more names. Is that a company Ashiya had a conflict with? That has to be it. They're not from Yushibano, which must be why this person's saying that. There was another reply posted early on the 26th by the original poster. I am from Yushibana. It's where I am right now. I just came back from my parents, but my memories of the days leading up to the 15th only intensified. It's impossible I dreamed all that. I really have no idea what happened to me. So it could be Katsuki who posted this.
Does Katsuki have a job?
Katsuki doesn't have a job. Fuck, you're right. Shit. Fuck. Oh, god damn it. A picture? Below that comment, there was an attached picture that just finished loading. It was from high up, and you could see the tower in the distance. It's surrounding all lightly covered by snow. This was taken in Yushibana. I see, they posted this to show that they live here. I scrolled down more and came to a yellow line of text saying, this topic has been locked. You cannot post a new reply. This is all there is.
DM them.
This person definitely traveled from the 15th. They even said their memories end there, so that's the day they went to the past. It doesn't make sense, though. How did that happen? Is it not just possible it's a character we haven't seen? Oh, it is possible, but I feel like they're giving so much information that it's more fun to theorize whether it's one of the ones we know about. And did this thread change the past, or did it always exist and the incident occurred anyway? It seems so strange. What if Zin gets in touch with this person after Ashiya announces the Sekimeiya event, and that's how they'll learn about the alarm? That'd be a paradox, but maybe it's possible. I selected the username 7MDAG and pulled up the profile. The page loaded much more quickly. A history of the account activity appeared before me, but unfortunately they hadn't posted anything after their last reply. I felt a little dizzy after reading all of that, probably thanks to not having eaten much the previous day. Sapped of energy, I got out of bed and steadied myself.
All right, interesting part's over. Time for a slice of life. Here we go.
Yay! I picked out some fresh clothing and stepped to the bathroom. I still don't have anything to eat. I could feel the demands of my stomach. Given the unpleasant meat I'd cooked, it wanted something actually edible. It's really early. I should just go to the grocery store. Better watch out for no low-quality cuts of meat before I buy them, though. Sidnock was a grocery close to my apartment that I visited often, and that was my target for the time being. I knew I wouldn't be able to think properly before eating something filling.
Want me to take over?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay. I drank some chili bottled water and approached the heater. I guess I can leave it on. I'll be really cold once I come back. I grabbed my purse in the living room. In the entrance, I made sure I wasn't forgetting anything and picked up my keys. I had my wallet too, so I put on the boots and coat I'd left next to the door. It wasn't snowing that day either, and my street seemed empty. I went down the stairs and walked ahead. The direction was the same I'd taken the previous day, but Sidnok was located before the center of Yushibana. Oh, she didn't see the drawing on her door when she left. I recognized the wide tire marks on the snow. Once a week, the garbage truck would pass through my street to collect the grouped up cans farther ahead.
Ugh.
Do. I guess the lady at the store also knows me. I didn't know her name or if she was the owner of the place or just a cashier, but she was usually there when I went. I wonder if she'd say anything, as I'd never really spoken to her.
This is our punishment for complaining that we didn't get to hear Shiroya at all in chapter 1.
It is our hubris.
Yeah, we asked for
Normally,
this.
after leaving my house with the heater on, the outside would feel very cold. It was a little bit warmer than I expected, so I kept a steady pace. I saw more clouds above me, as white as the ground. After walking for a bit, I still hadn't seen anyone on the street. After firmly pressing down on the snow with a step, I brought myself to a halt. Still looking upward, I was staring at the structure that reached higher than the others. I'd seen it throughout my entire life, but I had only recently entered it for the first time. I remembered having been told before that it was visible from any place in Yushibana, and I'd just seen it was the truth. I guess when we were inside of it, all of Yushibana could see us. From where I was, I could only see a few of the higher windows, but it was enough to notice that there were no shutters covering them. I looked at it for a while, my mind blank. It seemed there was no light on the other side of the windows. As Kate said, nobody had been recently working on those floors. I shook it off and kept going. I was already pretty close. As I got closer to the busier center of town, more and more tire marks crisscrossed the snow. I could see the shop ahead of me, and I shortly arrived in front of it. Hello.
Good morning.
I walked past her. The streets had been desolate, but I saw someone I didn't recognize picking up cereal in an aisle. She didn't say anything. I figured not everyone had seen the news, and even if she had, she didn't have to mention it. I knew where everything was, so I kept walking as I wondered what to get. I really wanted to use my time well, and I never felt like cooking. I stopped in front of the stand full of instant food. I get tired of these if it's the only thing I buy. They're all instant noodles. I frowned a little, but there was nothing to worry about. On the 8th, I'd gone home from the hospital, but it had been late, and I'd eaten a little before leaving. I didn't think I'd check the kitchen where I could have seen my food supply. And even if I did, I could simply be changing the past now. It keeps occurring, though. I went to buy food without the intention to change the past, and it happened to match what I already lived through once. Maybe it really is correct that everything will happen as it did if I don't purposely think about changing anything.
Girl, you saw the fucking forum post.
But that also doesn't make complete sense. I'd already made one change by calling my mom, so now everything can't really happen as it did as long as I don't intend otherwise. Down the line, more things are bound to differ. I sighed, picked up a few packs of instant noodles without any special flavoring, and wandered around the shop. I hadn't grabbed a cart, so I soon found myself carrying noodles, cookies, milk, chips, almonds, and my favorite cereal bars. Amateur? What the fuck?
Girl dinner for sure.
I should get meat, too. I felt a little reluctant to buy more after the 2 nasty pieces I'd eaten. I stared through the transparent door of the fridge. I didn't feel like looking at the eggs, so I scanned... So I scanned the scarce meat that was there.
That took me a minute. Can't blame her.
I guess I just have to heat these up. I lifted at the top and grabbed some prepared meat. I knew I'd seen the same brand as at Katsuki's house.
Good line jump scare for sure.
Careful not to let anything fall, I stepped up to the cashier and dropped everything on the conveyor belt. Shot football killers done again. It would all last me a few days, but not until the 15th. She quietly scanned all the items. It'll be 2,739 yen total.
God damn, that's cheap. Ah, but give me a plastic bag too, please.
Here, that'll be another 1,000 yen. I grabbed my wallet, but I knew I barely didn't have enough cash to pay for everything. I took out my credit card instead and handed it to her. She inserted it into a tiny device and asked me to put in my PIN.
For God's sake.
1991. I pressed OK and waited a few seconds.
Is her Is that just her birth year?
Yes, it is. It is. Yep. It is. Yep. It is. Yep.
Spoiler: that plastic bag becomes relevant in a few hours. Great. Great.
All right. Thank you.
Did you know, like, something like 70% of people have a PIN number starting with 1? Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine
it's really
does
common.
not start with a 1. There you go. You
Don't tell people on the street.
What? I just took one option off the table. It does not start with a 1. Need my card to use my PIN. What are you talking about? After she handed me the receipt, I put everything in the bag and walked out. The other shopper had left at some point, but the outside was as devoid of life as before. I retreaded my footprints to make it home. I'd already done what I wanted, so I moved slower, trying not to exhaust the minimal energy I still had. I took the keys out while I went up the stairs. Opening the door caused the heat stored inside to leak out, so I moved in quickly. This is all this was. Okay? Did someone appear in her apartment while she was gone? Like, what is this? I left the bag on the floor to take off my coat and shoes and brought it into the kitchen. Except for a portion of noodles, I stored everything in a low cabinet in the fridge. I didn't have any way to obtain hot water, so I put some in a pot and placed it on the gas stove. I tended to cook with bottled water because I didn't particularly trust tap water. What the fuck is wrong with you?
If you're gonna boil it anyway, who cares?
After grabbing the chopsticks, I waited for the water to boil. It didn't need to get overly hot, so as soon as tiny bubbles began to form on the surface of the pot, I turned off the stove and poured the water in a bowl with the noodles and other ingredients. Within 5 minutes, they would be cooked. As usual, I brought the bowl to the living room and left it on the table. I hadn't turned on the light, so the only illumination came from outside. I felt much more comfortable not having my window exposed to anyone outside of it, and the lighting was preferable anyway. Nonetheless, I still turned on the ceiling light to force myself to be more awake. I tried to... Is this a different sprite? It is, isn't it? Yeah.
It is,
This different image? Yeah. I tried to simply wait for the noodles to cook, but it was hard not to remember what I'd read.
We're gonna have 12 of them. 12 different meals.
Please don't. Who had written those posts, and where had they been on the 15th? Since they traveled back on that day, 2 versions of them should have existed simultaneously. My mind clouded as soon as I tried to think about it, so I knew it was a bad idea trying to get anywhere before eating.
Yeah, eating will help for sure.
I poked the noodles with the chopsticks, but I had to wait a little more. I'm really hungry.
Yeah, I have salmon downstairs I really want to eat.
Enough time had probably passed, so I brought some to my mouth.
Actually, I'm curious. It's not that much shorter. It's almost as long as chapter 2.
They were good and not too hot either, so I continued.
Great.
The issue with those packets of ramen was that there wasn't much in them. It only took me about a minute to finish. I tried not to wolf it down so fast, but it had at least been what I needed because my mind started regaining some focus soon after beginning to eat. You okay? Maybe I could try to figure out who posted that thread. Did you really? When I got to that idea, I put the noodles on hold and walked to my bedroom. My phone was still next to the pillow, so I grabbed it and flipped it open. 7MD Ag's profile was still there. As I walked back to the living room, I pressed the return button. I left the phone on the table and continued eating. As soon as the page loaded, I navigated to the bottom of it. Yeah, this picture. I could try to pinpoint where it was taken from. Really?
The filter was referring to the lack of tap water filter on Shiroya's sink.
The angle is from a little high up, so it was likely taken through an apartment window. In Yushibana, most apartments didn't have different floors, so it was likely that if I simply found the place it had been taken from, I could also find who lived there. Actually, no, I know this street. That's where there are a few slightly higher buildings, so they should have more than one floor. This is close to a Katsuki's house. In fact, I ate the remaining noodles, scratching the bottom of the bowl so that none were left behind. Would knowing who this person is be useful? It might be. I'm not sure how much I can do. I really doubt I could stop the incident from happening myself, but I should try to learn as much as I can about it. What really happened on the 15th? There were a lot of strange things about the attack. There's also the chance the person who posted the thread is someone I know. Assuming I manage to travel back in time again, it's definitely possible to still go all the way back as long as the incident occurs. It shouldn't even matter if Katsuki and I don't go. I'll definitely have to go to the tower before the 15th. I guess the best I can hope for is that I'll be able to touch the Sekimeiya and go far enough back to save Mia. Most likely, the biggest issue right now is not knowing how to make myself go so far back again. But if I can pull that off, alongside saving Mia, the ideal scenario would be to obtain the Sekimeiya myself. What if I go many days into the past before the 27th? I could find the Sekimeiya on the mountain, which would save Mia and prevent the incident from happening. No, you have to save Mia in a way that makes it look like she still died, so everyone else still does everything you do. That's the whole point. You have to fake her death. I suppose Ishia would find a replacement for the Sekimeiya to bait Zim, but that doesn't really matter as long as people don't get trapped with something that causes time travel that could outright stop any deaths from happening just by itself. Maybe it was a fake all along and someone brought in the real one. I walked to the kitchen and left the bowl in the sink. I still felt hungry, so I took the chocolate cookies I'd bought out of the cabinet.
Wow.
Okay, yay! If I find the person behind the thread, maybe I could speak to them. They could still have important information if they merely traveled from outside the tower. It's also possible other people will try to get in touch with them now that the Sekimeiya has been announced officially. These cookies are chocolate chunk instead of chocolate chip, and they're my favorite. There were a number of reasons why discovering their identity would potentially be useful, even if one of them was correct. That was enough.
Hey, chocolate chunk goes hard.
It does, it does. Should I go there and knock on the door, hoping it's the right one?
That could be kind of fun.
We gave our names to Suripo when we talked to him, so this person could potentially recognize mine. Would it be a good idea to say that I've experienced the same thing as them? I lay back on the carpet, a bit indecisive.
She's just lying on the floor eating cookies right now? Oh my god.
I also keep thinking that before the 15th, if I haven't been able to use the Sekimeiya, I'll prevent Katsuki and myself from going to the tower. How exactly do I plan to do that? There's no way writing an anonymous note would be enough. This is why you're meant to give your character a talking head that hangs on your butt or a doll that hangs like on your crotch or something to talk to. Like, it's always good to have two people in every single scene. It's very rare that you can get away with just solo scenes, man. Oh, actually, it should be simple. When I woke up in the hospital, it was the afternoon of the 8th, and Katsuki was there, so I know for a fact that he'll be out at that time. I could go to his house then and take the tickets we bought. 3 of them should be in the purse Mia used, and the pamphlet advertised people to hurry before they ran out. There were so many people at the tower when the shutter closed that I bet they sold out too. We didn't look at those tickets again until the 14th, so that'll definitely be too late to buy new ones.
Joe is complaining that Shiroya doesn't have a Morgana.
Fuck. I should be able to enter his house when he's out. I know where he keeps a hidden key close to his door just in case he ever forgets his inside. If it's not there anymore, I might be able to open the window of his bedroom as long as the shutter isn't down. He doesn't usually lock it, and it's not made of the same material as the Sekimeiya shutter. I spent a while laying down, and I began to feel really curious about the mysterious forum poster, wondering if there'd been an ulterior reason behind their text. Put my phone in my purse and prepared to leave. My boots and coat were where I just left them, so I put them on and stepped out, then headed down the stairs. I knew approximately where to go. Once I was at the street where the picture had been taken, I expected to be able to look at it and determine the exact building I was searching for. I could take different paths to make it to the opposite side of town, but I simply walked as if I was going to Katsuki's house.
If we get through this, hello chinchillas. If we get through this and it's just like the wrong building and it's a complete dead end and this entire day 3 was just wasted, I'm going to become the Joker. I'm going to lose my mind.
His house and Ishia Tower were both in the distance, but they were also on opposite sides. The tower was right in front of the mountains, whereas Katsuki's house was near the road to leave Yushibana. As always, the center of town felt much more lively, as at a crosswalk hidden by the snow, a car waited for people to cross. That time, instead of going with them to Ramon Street, I went directly to Enric Avenue. I chose not to walk past Katsuki's house and kept moving ahead. If I wasn't mistaken, the street I was going to was called Ampla, and it was a parallel to Enric.
Lamp.
We just knows the street? Wait a second. Thinking about the movements I've made the previous day, an important connection arose in my mind. The forum thread had been posted on November 24th. I'd read about that date in the newspaper.
Oh, right.
Also, In the afternoon of November 24th, a camera had recorded a prisoner escaping from a cell. No one had any idea how they'd even gotten in there. Was I actually right? Was it the Sekimeiya's teleportation? Did she also like go back to the 24th and she blanked out 6 days?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
The person who posted the forum thread was outside the tower on the 15th. Like I thought, someone touched the Sekimeiya from inside, so both of them appeared at the very same time on November 24th. It fit perfectly. Someone else who'd been caught up in that travel had appeared inside a vacant prison cell. Was it the person who touched the Sekimeiya or someone else who was waiting outside? The article said they were dressed as a prisoner. This must mean that the position they appeared in was based on the time that they were jailed, right? Had one of us in the tower been in prison in the past? I attempted to visualize the picture next to the article. Sai would look good in prison clothes.
Sai would look good in anything.
It had been taken from the ceiling, so measuring the person's height with it was very hard. Since it had been in black and white, I couldn't discern the color of their hair either, so all I knew was that they were a man with short and dark hair. It's not possible it was a police officer waiting outside. If that was the case, they wouldn't have appeared dressed up as a prisoner. Just going off that fact, it's incredibly likely that it was one of us who were inside the building. So someone else who got trapped and knows about the Sekimeiya's powers is here in the past with me, and this is what I was afraid of.
I mean, Occam's razor, it's just a Karo, but like that's not fun.
It's a Karo. It's a Karo.
Yeah, I know.
Did you just Occam's razor Sekimeiya? Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I bit my lip and tried to keep walking. I'd already thought of the negative implications of that, but I had to start seriously worrying about them. I prefer Hanlon's razor myself. If they'd been in prison before, the reason to be in the tower had to be stealing the Sekimeiya. Everyone there with me understood at least the basics of what it could do, so now that person must be entirely aware of the fact that they're in the past. They have the ability to change the past and know about Ashiya's alarm. At any point, I could hear the news that the Sekimeiya had been stolen before the 15th. I tried to calm myself down, but it wasn't easy. If Zin or anyone stole the Sekimeiya, the incident on the 15th wouldn't happen. The deaths of that day would be erased, but an alternate outcome like that came with its own problems.
Ampersand said Occam's basilisk. Thank you for putting that. I would have missed it.
I wouldn't be able to save Mia, and I would remain in a world with two versions of myself. The only way to make the latter work would become impossible as well, as I wouldn't be able to go back in time with any winning lottery number.
She's really into the lottery. She's really into the lottery. I think if we're still in I almost said Angie City. If we're still in Shiroya City next week, I think I'm gonna bring some alcohol and take a shot every time we hear about the lottery. I might need to develop a Shiroya City drinking game for myself to get through this.
Sorry, this is a joke for any people from my audience in the chat. This is the fucking Life is Too Strange facial animation reviewer. It's fucking tier bullshit right now. Who just keeps bringing back the fucking lottery number. Does this pretty much mean that I have to go to the tower as soon as possible, find the Sekimeiya and somehow activate it to go days back?
Yes, go do it.
That could easily go wrong in so many ways. What if I stay in front of the tower permanently to see what Zin do with the Sekimeiya once they steal it? This could also very easily end up being a mistake, and there's no way I could do it.
Has she been like copying the lottery numbers down, by the way? Like it's describing literally everything else that she's doing, but like she hasn't copied down the lottery numbers that she's so obsessed with. What's her plan?
She doesn't even check the news.
She hasn't even checked the news.
Is it likely that whoever traveled to the 24th thinks the past can't be changed? If so, they'll be afraid to attempt to steal it before the 15th, and they'll try to do it on that day with the information they have, just like I was thinking of doing. I guess I can hope that's the case. I'd left my apartment to figure out who 7MDAG was, so I did my best to let go of those worries for the moment and reach my target street. Well, it should be this one. This was remarkably easy, wasn't it? Could you do that? Like what?
No.
What?
Although I did once triangulate someone because they called me and the power was out and there were sirens going off around businesses in the area, and because of how loud the siren was on the phone, I was able to discern that they were right underneath the siren, and I found them.
Whoa.
So I did do that, yeah.
Inspector Mouse?
Mm-hmm.
I took my phone out and looked at its screen. Then I peered into the distance toward the tower. Yeah, it has to be this street. The structures around me were slightly taller than in most of Yushibana, and the number of windows showed that they had several floors. I kept walking to get closer to where I thought the picture had been taken from. Time to knock them. Around here? I looked at the building behind me. The picture could have been taken from any of those windows. Oh, is it actually this building? There was something that made it stand out. Next to the door, there was a sign with 3 words on it.
I love men.
Apartment for sale. I guess that doesn't have to mean anything. What? But I frowned a little. While I didn't know which apartment was the one for sale, light could be seen on the other side of the 4 windows above the door. The entrance was locked, and I couldn't see anyone nearby. Next to the door, below the sign, was a panel with 4 numbers and 4 buttons to press. Should I try to ring the bell? It could be any of the 4.
Ring all of them and then go hide behind one of the cars and watch all the people who come out. You don't...
If the person from the forum is someone I know, maybe I could recognize their voice. I felt pretty hesitant, wondering what to say after ringing. Do I ask for a name and just say that I made a mistake if I don't recognize them? What if they live with someone else who answers instead?
Say pizza delivery.
Yes. I looked at the sign again. There's a phone number. Maybe I should call it instead.
I'm a lot better at doing crimes than Shiroya is what I'm learning.
Would I be told information about the previous resident? Could it be that the person I'm looking for decided to move out immediately, afraid of what they thought was a grave mental issue? Given the way their posts had been written, that wasn't unthinkable. Maybe they just decided to move somewhere else, and that was why someone still seemed to be living behind every window at that moment. Still holding the phone, I pressed the call button and dialed the numbers on the wall. 1989, 1815, 251. I started to hear the high-pitched beeps. Doo-doo-doo. A little half-hearted, I waited with the phone on my ear. Moshi moshi. Hello?
Oh, hey. I'm calling for an apartment I see for sale at Ampla.
Ah, great. You're the first person to be interested, but the interior there is well maintained and it's in a very good area. Are you from here?
I am, yeah.
That's great. Are you perhaps at the address right now?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
I can see you from my window. Wait a second, I'll come out.
Oh, all right.
He hung up, so I stood still nervously, failing to see anyone behind a window. I didn't have to wait long for a door farther back to open. A middle-aged man came out and shuffled up to me.
And it's Oishi.
Hello, what's your name?
Shiroya. Doesn't even make up
I see. Glad to meet you. I'm Cecil Frey. What's with the names in the story?
I don't know, but I just swapped the first letters and had a moment.
He bowed enthusiastically and turned to the sign. Hasn't been up for sale very long, but I'm sure it'll be purchased quickly. Would you like to see the inside? Since you're here, I'm assuming you've not seen the pictures on the website.
I haven't. Yeah, I'd like to. Isn't someone currently inside, though? There's light coming from all the windows.
Ah, yes, you're perceptive. The previous resident is currently preparing to move out. We agreed he could receive visits while he's still here. Don't worry, it'll be vacant quite soon. I didn't know what to say, but I couldn't back off.
I'm sorry to ask this, but why is he leaving? Did he have an issue with the apartment?
Oh, not at all. Evidently, he wants to go live with his parents. I've spoken to him personally. He's well-mannered and intelligent. No problems on my end, but it seems he's not well, so he couldn't keep living by himself. Okay, this is the person. Let's go. It is him. Yeah, it's him. I looked up, but I still couldn't see anyone through the glass. If she backs off, I swear to God.
He's not well? I'm sorry for asking. Is he going to be okay?
Yes, you shouldn't worry. I'm not sure exactly what the issue is, but he was very recently at his parents' house preparing to move. He seemed fine to me when we spoke briefly. I didn't want to pry, though.
Oh, I'm glad.
He had 2 keys on his palm and used one to unlock the entrance. I saw a gray hall with stairs leading up. I think he implied he had some kind of mental disorder, but I'm not really well informed. He called me in late November saying that someone had broken into his house. Oh.
Wait, really? Did they take anything?
No, that's what I'm saying. Soon after he called again, assuring me that he'd imagined it and not to worry, but that he'd still move out. I followed him up the stairs with a pensive frown. He stopped in front of the first door, which had an A above it for A Caro. Instead of unlocking it himself, he rang the bell.
For whatever Kate's last name is.
I started to feel nervous. Would the person about to open the door recognize me? Would I recognize him? I heard footsteps approaching and the door jittered. In one motion, I saw the face of the person I'd been searching for.
Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck is that?
Who the fuck are you?
I don't think I know him. Good morning. Well, I guess it's close to noon already. Are you coming to see my apartment?
Yup.
Come in then. It's a very nice place. I've really enjoyed living here. I didn't take my eyes off his face, but all I could conclude was I'd never seen him before. He wore a sympathetic smile and his voice sounded kind. I stepped in timidly, unaware of where to set my eyes. Following the agent or landlord, whoever he was, I entered the living room.
Oh, he was with us since chapter 1? I see. Okay. Ooh-wee.
The furniture won't be taken away. You'll notice the heating is working just fine, but sunlight makes it inside all day too. You might have noticed that there's no elevator below, but fortunately you only have to go up a single set of stairs. Why is he selling the place?
I like it.
I wasn't necessarily lying. Everything looked clean and neatly arranged. Great, you'll see how spacious the rooms are. There are 2 of them.
I heard this is a mystery, Vian. What's the mystery now? The mystery is how long chapter 3 is.
It's a doozy. I kept following behind, still thinking about what he'd said in the staircase. He called saying that someone had broken in, but later retracted that. I looked back at the man who was just tagging along in silence. He must know what will happen.
Shiroya, say 7MDAG and watch his face. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Someone broke into this place a few days ago. He appeared at his parents' house on the 24th, and later on he replied again from this apartment when he took that picture.
I have all the pieces. Thank you, Weeby.
Did he break into his own house? If he appeared at his parents' without the keys, that could have happened. Maybe he did have them and his original self noticed someone had entered. Maybe he killed his original self. There are more possible explanations. What if it was the version from the future who noticed his original self when he made it back home and thought he was a thief? Then he figured out what had happened and called to say he just imagined it. Do you like it? He opened the door to a bedroom.
Yeah, that's a big bed.
As I said, everything you see is a fixture. It's a part of the package.
That's good.
So if I'm right at all, 2 versions of him must currently exist, and they're both sharing this big bed. Is the one right here the one who traveled from the future? Is it possible they've seen each other? Surely that would be changing the past. Here's the other room. It's a little smaller, but it can also work as a bedroom if anyone stays over.
I see.
The room was pretty messy, and it stored different kinds of objects and old devices. My attention was quickly...
Streamer's so bored they can't say the word big is true.
My attention was quickly directed to a framed picture. I leaned forward to take a better look at it. I could see the man who lived in the apartment in front of someone a little older than him. A police uniform. They were both dressed as police officers, and the background was a simple white wall.
I see.
You have the bathroom right here. Is this the cop that went missing?
Vaisude. The plot device. He's here.
I looked through the door and saw a bathroom similar to mine. The structure of the apartment was similar to my own, and everything felt more taken care of, and the rooms were slightly larger. When we'd seen all of them, we ended up at the front door. Oh, I know we haven't spoken about price. I can be a bit flexible. Right now, the set price is $42,000 a month, but you'll need to make an initial deposit of $126,000.
Now remember, that's like $500 a month. This is twice as much as she gets every month.
How does that sound? If only. Maybe after I win the lottery. I certainly like this place. It's a big decision, though. I'll have to think about it. Of course. Keep in mind, more people are likely to be interested.
I don't have a drink on me, Chad. It's next week plan. I know. I'll try to make up my mind quickly and call you. I've got your number saved now.
All right. I'll await your call, Shiroya. It was a pleasure.
Likewise, he said her name. Yep.
I was about to bow, but the wide eyes of the man holding the door froze me before I could. Also frozen, the man's eyes pierced mine until I forcibly ripped my gaze away and completed the bow. Did he react to my name?
Goodbye.
Goodbye, I hope to see you again. Are we serious? The other man wasn't saying anything, so I slowly stepped away, unsure whether that look had been a reaction to my name or if he had had it from the beginning. It seemed both of them would stay there, so I left by myself. What the fuck? As soon as I turned around, I was met with the same sensation. The door to the outside closed, and I saw a man walking up the stairs. The look he gave me muddled my mind, instantly making me doubt everything I just determined. It was the very same look as the other man's, down to the piercing pause. When time continued, he stepped up and unlocked the opposite door, quietly shutting it behind him without saying a word. What the hell? What was that?
I might be cooked, but when I played, I was crashing out why she doesn't recognize Akaro. Am I sprite blind? Yeah, I think so.
He'd been skinny and a little older, but I hadn't recognized him either, so I simply stood, wondering which of those two stares had been given by 7MDAG. Was it just that he was surprised to see someone he'd never seen in this building? Had I only overreacted internally? It seemed bizarre to me, but maybe I just misinterpreted the second look due to seeing it immediately after the first.
Do you want me to take over for a bit?
I went down the stairs and opened the door in a haze of confusion. Yeah. I don't understand what's going on.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fucking cool as a cucumber.
Cool as a cucumber. Oh. Outside, I merely stood still, trying to sort out my thoughts. The first man must be the forum poster. What I was told about him fits perfectly. I walked away, intending to take the second stare out of my mind and telling myself that I'd really overreacted to it. I guess it doesn't really matter. It was one of them for sure, and I didn't recognize either of them. It's much more likely it was the first guy because of that framed picture. He was one of the police officers outside the tower, so I was right. He was suddenly picked up by a travel that was activated within the building. But he is a policeman. Is he not going to try to prevent the attack from happening somehow? If he made that call saying there was no actual burglar, he must understand enough of what happened to him. He has to know he's in the past. Lost in thought, I arrived at Rimo. In contrast to the early morning, the street was fairly busy, partially thanks to the good weather. I recognized a group of kids years younger than me, so I avoided even looking at them. And like I thought, two versions of him must currently exist. I can't be sure I just talked to the one aware of the incident. How quickly would Battler have figured out the Sekimeiya and resolved the entire story if he was in this scenario? Joe hasn't yet, so not yet. He wouldn't have yet.
Exactly.
But the stare stuck in my mind strongly implied he was. I wondered whether to go home. I'd accomplished my goal even though I couldn't draw much from it. I hadn't recognized the person known as 7MDAG, but I felt confident that the solution to the forum thread was a police officer who'd traveled through time. Maybe I should have tried to talk to him, but I doubt he would tell me anything new. And I'd very much rather not say what I'm doing here, because then he might try to win the lottery. With that out of the way, I was forced to go back to my previous thoughts. What could I do about the person who'd probably traveled with him to the prison cell? I wandered around slowly, hoping something would come to mind. Knowing that the future I was envisioning could have been destroyed at any moment caused a hollow anxiety to form in my chest. It was the same one I'd felt after Mia died. At least I was pretty sure that I was in the best place to sort it all out, not inside an oppressive enclosed building, but free in Yushibana. When I thought about it more, it was almost worse in a way. Mia had died instantly, and I'd been forced to confront that reality instantly. Similarly, in Ashiya Tower, the attack had been instant, and all the consequences of it had been fairly quick to follow. Do we think that this Shiroya is the one with the different outfit on? Or is it Shiroya from another timeline? I kind of think it's this one.
I think it is this one. I think she goes back in at some point.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, what was I doing then? Walking around town and slowly gathering information. They have a third ticket because of Mia. Was not the same. If I didn't save Mia through my actions, all I was really doing was letting things slowly play out, gradually getting worse. I guess she could go in through the side door. Distracting myself from that was the best I could do in the meantime, while I decided whether taking action was really the wisest thing to do. I buried that creeping dread as deep as I could and returned to thinking about the man in the apartment.
What happened to the third ticket? Did it go missing at some point?
I think it still stayed in her purse.
Okay.
Yeah. The thread had said that he'd appeared at his parents' house on the 24th. I found myself going back to that. And his parents said that he shouldn't have been there. That contradicts what I thought yesterday regarding my own travel. I thought that on the 30th I appeared underground at 9:10 where I'd been only minutes prior. Plenty of travels that happened in the tower can fit that idea, but there were already some that didn't, and neither does this one. If his parents said that he shouldn't have been there on the 24th, it can't be that it was a coordinate mere minutes away from the point he appeared. But of course his parents' house isn't a random position. It definitely had to have been based on one from his past. Admittedly, thinking about that was frustrating. I'd gone over similar thoughts so many times, we know, but it didn't seem like reaching a conclusion was feasible, and especially not when I couldn't know if the Sekimeiya was consistent. What? I stopped myself in the middle of the street. Ahead of me, I saw something I recognized. The very same stare I'd just been given. Someone else who I didn't recognize had suddenly looked at me like that, but when I noticed it, they were looking somewhere else. Am I just imagining it? Am I just paranoid after the first time? Did I completely forget that I was in the newspaper because I was locked up in the hospital and people are probably surprised that they see me walking around not in a coma?
Yes.
I spun around me, and after a full circle, my heart hammered once. All around, I'd seen people fixing their eyes on me. I spun once again more slowly. Afterward, I closed my eyes. I hadn't seen a single person looking at me the second time. I have to be making it up. The thin white trees came back to me, but I was slightly dizzy. I surveyed my surroundings again, and everyone was only looking straight ahead as they walked across the ground. It couldn't be that they know I should be in the hospital, right? That thought made me feel a little uncomfortable, so I stepped away. It's gotta be just me. Nobody's looking now. Even if that was the case, it shouldn't matter. But it still made me uneasy, so I walked toward a narrower branching street, which was much less crowded. I advanced without thinking about where I was going. Eventually, I turned around and still saw no one looking back at me. I'm going the wrong way if I want to go home, though. I moved to the end of the street. There, the atmosphere was completely calm, similar to how things had been that morning. Slightly ahead of me was the school I'd always gone to, in front of the end of the mountain range. I kept moving forward, accepting my own improvised detour. Past the corner, I saw a green bus I hadn't noticed beforehand. Making no noise, it crossed my view and disappeared as it curved away. It wasn't common to see a bus like that in Yushibana. Since it had been green, I knew it had come from outside the town. There were local buses as well, but they were blue and took very few paths. I crossed the road, stepping on the recent wet tracks. I shortly arrived at the entrance to my school. The tunnel I'd come out of 2 days earlier was very close by. And of course, Seiuta Della Park, too. Like every year, it would spend a few months covered by snow. Without a clear purpose in mind, I strolled over to it, surrounded by pure silence. I could see people in the distance, too. Tiny to recognize. Too tiny to recognize. I'd pretty much circled around Yushibana, and it was fairly smaller than the perception of it I'd always had. I could make it home without crossing the center again, so I headed toward the path I'd often taken after classes. However, I abruptly forced my legs to stop. Am I just stressed out? I kept walking, shrugging off whatever was up with me, but I soon had to stop again. Perhaps I'd sharpened my senses during the hours I'd spent on edge in the tower. Nobody seemed to be behind me, but something inside me told me otherwise. The first time, I'd turned around after stopping and hadn't seen anyone. The second, I hadn't sensed anything, but I wanted to make sure.
So the guy from the apartment's following her home, and
Yeah.
and she's like picking up on that.
Or
yeah.
she's just paranoid. Have I hit the point of thinking that I'm being followed? I should just make it home. I continued walking around the rim of Yushibana, slightly on alert. The sound of my footsteps was all I picked up. It's a Caro following her! I looked at the sky and noticed the dense white clouds. In the park, I'd felt like there was movement behind me as soon as I'd started to walk. With how likely it was that I'd been mistaken, I was sure I was more nervous than I thought. The third time I stopped myself. I didn't just look back. I turned around and ran toward the way I'd come. I didn't immediately see anyone. Seconds later, I'd covered quite a bit of distance, and nobody had come into view yet. But when I looked down, my heart sank like a stone. Footprints. They weren't mine, and I hadn't seen them seconds earlier. They came from the park hugging the edge and then disappeared toward faraway trees. Was I not imagining anything? Am I actually being followed? The footprints were too big to be my own, and I noticed a detail that reinforced my fear. As soon as they turned toward the trees, the distance between each step increased. Did they run away the moment I looked back? It had become more than just paranoia. I turned around to my previous path and sped up considerably. Who would follow me, though? Is it someone else who traveled to the past? I couldn't think of many possibilities. I knew the past wasn't guaranteed to repeat, but even if someone who knew me had seen me, they wouldn't have run away as soon as I'd noticed them. The path was mostly straight until my apartment. It wasn't too cold, so I didn't slow down. On the way, I crossed paths with a neighbor of mine. Naturally, her footprints didn't match the ones I'd seen. I slowed down when I got to the metallic staircase and unlocked my door. I glanced all around me before opening it, and I didn't see anyone. I panted for a bit, the comforting warmth helping me to calm down. After some time, I shrugged off my coat and boots. I really didn't like having to feel wary even in my apartment, but I couldn't shake it. Was it possible I was mistaken? I couldn't really put into words why I'd felt someone had been behind me, so I tried to believe that I'd made it all up. I was imagining Sai's face slowly rising.
I was imagining someone in the window, yeah, the blinds, yeah.
What if there's a third Shiroya following this Shiroya, debating on changing the past?
She's put her phone on mute right now.
The ground had been covered in footprints. Even if the ones I'd seen had looked more recent than the others, that didn't prove anything. Why would anyone follow me? To confirm that it was me because I should be in the hospital? It wouldn't be to hurt me, right? If it was someone from Zen who traveled to the past, would I actually be seen as a threat to them? If they know I should be in the hospital, they could figure out that there are two of me and I came from the future. I had a building headache, and I'd been sweating profusely for a while. I thought about turning off the heater, but I chose to try loosening up instead. I went to the kitchen. If I could eat something, that'd give me something to do and allow me to trust my own judgment a bit more. I took the prepped meat from the fridge. I didn't have a microwave, so I still had to use the stove. The frying pan was dirty from the last time, so I listlessly poured dish soap on a sponge and scrubbed the pan before rinsing it. I dried it with a hanging towel and put it on the burner with the food. I knew not to turn the intensity all the way up or it would burn easily. I stood in front of the pan, focusing only on evenly heating the meat. Seconds later, I turned it around with a knife and waited a bit longer for it to be done. Only one bowl was still clean, so I used it to bring the food to the living room. Would it freak you out if they showed you a background several times and one time there's a face peeking around a corner or tree and the narration just didn't acknowledge it? Yes, it would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it absolutely would freak me out, yeah.
The pieces were small, so I didn't have to cut them. I quickly brought one into my mouth. The inside's still a little cold. Oh, Shiroya. But the taste isn't bad.
There's a show that did that, actually, to great effect. It was a very popular show on Netflix. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I probably have no future as a fry cook. Well, actually, maybe that's fortunate. This way I don't have to worry about getting a job. I should just try not to think about it too much. Even if I was being followed, what's most important is still that the Sekimeiya could be taken before the 15th. And if I try to enter the tower during the night and I'm caught before I can trigger the alarm, it could all fail. My main two worries are not knowing where the Sekimeiya is and not knowing how to travel a lot of days back in time. I could go to the tower during the day and try to find the cabinet. If it's there, I know the mechanism behind the alarm will already be working, so I could try to consciously change the past the following night by entering the tower and forcing the cabinet open. I suppose it's possible it already is in the event room if nobody's allowed in for now. There wasn't a camera in the storeroom, so maybe I could see if the handle of the hidden door is still there and if it really leads outside. Using that hidden section is my best bet to make it to the tower during the night. I could either try to enter it from the outside or wait behind the movable wall during the day where I won't be found before the tower closes. So the other issue is the truly concerning one. I would break open the cabinet, activate the alarm. That would lock me in the tower with the person in the security room. However, even though we had to spend 12 hours inside, that wouldn't necessarily repeat. They explained to us that there was a way to open the exit before the maximum time. Both the security member and Ashiya can work together to remove the shutter. On the 15th, the system didn't appear to be working for either of them. Can't be sure the same will happen before that day, though. What if interfering with the mechanism was part of the attack? If so, it's very possible it'll still work properly before the 15th. I can't assume I'll have half a day to experiment with the Sekimeiya. To avoid being seen through the cameras, I could go to a place without them. The attic would be locked, so there wouldn't be many options. There, assuming the person in the security room doesn't leave, I could try to mess with the Sekimeiya. Maybe I'll touch it and appear somewhere that's being recorded, though. If that's seen from the security room and I don't reply to whatever I'm told by the guard, it's incredibly likely they'll go ahead and unlock the exit. I kept eating the last slices. Even though the handle of the hidden door was removed, since the door had 2 holes, we were able to deduce that the handle used to have a keyhole. So even if the handle is still there, I'll probably need the key in order to open it. But if I see that I can open the door, it's possible I'll have a good way out. During the night, I could enter the tower through that door and quickly go to the Sekimeiya cabinet to trigger the alarm. Then, as soon as possible, I could leave with the Sekimeiya through the storeroom. If nobody's watching that side of the building and I hide my face from the cameras, I could bring it home and experiment with it here. This doesn't sound like it has drawbacks, and it only requires that the storeroom door actually leads outside and then I can open it. But did that bring serious risks? Even if I was later found outside, I could touch the Sekimeiya and go to the past before my identity was given away, although I would lose the Sekimeiya. Why does the hidden area in the storeroom even exist? It's possible Kite lied when he said he didn't know about it. If Ashio were completely aware of it, there's no way they'll allow it to be opened. Wait. There might be a way to solve the problem of not being able to figure out why I went so many days to the past. It makes sense that the time the Sekimeiya spent out of the cabinet was a factor to determine the time traveled, even if there's more to it. After all, the time I spent in the tower, what I can be almost certain of is that 1 minute stored comes out to more than 1 minute traveled. If I can't open the storeroom door, I could still make it inside the tower during the night if I wait in the section past the movable wall, assuming someone else who knows about it doesn't check it. After that... Is anyone else hearing metal? Oh my god, it's the chinchilla. Yep. It's the chinchilla on the wheel. After that, I can activate the alarm and leave the Sekimeiya out of its cabinet for a really long time. How would I prevent the exit from opening early? I'd be talked to from the security room, but so maybe I could reply and act as if I'm really from Zen. Could I try to negotiate for hours or somehow convince them not to open the exit prematurely? If I could think of something to say so that they keep me there, I could be in hallway A all the time. Hi, I was distracted for 30 minutes. Did I miss anything? No. If I could think of something to say so that they keep me there, I could be in hallway A all the time. Assuming 12 hours pass, I could run to touch the Sekimeiya just before the deadline. And if at least 1 stored minute means 2 minutes traveled, I would go 24 hours into the past. As long as I can make it to the previous night, to a time before the tower is open to the public, I could change the past and repeat the process. I could progressively go days back without understanding how to travel such a long distance at once. While I considered my options further, I went to the kitchen and left the bowl in the sink.
Sai has done this multiple times.
Is this a good idea? I'm not sure I could pull it off. There are issues, too. The person in the security room could see that the Sekimeiya is outside the cabinet and demand that I put it back, knowing that the refrigeration is essential to keep it safe, and if 1 minute stored doesn't come out to 2 or more minutes traveled, I could appear during daytime, so I couldn't repeat the process until the same night I started from in the first place. What would even happen if I went back to the 30th and could save Mia? Where would I stay? Since the past would greatly change, the current version of me who traveled from the 15th would very likely be overwritten. Even if my original self still goes to the hospital on the 30th, that me wouldn't go to live with Katsuki, so I'd instantly have to figure out what to do in a world with 2 versions of myself. I'm going to ask you to take over in 3 minutes. Warning.
Okay.
That aspect of the loose plan I had still brought me nothing but regret. As much as it was undeniable that saving Mia would be the ideal outcome, it really wouldn't mean that much to me. I was the one whose entire existence would be like a foreign body. Oh, I don't actually think this can work. If the Sekimeiya really was in that shop on the 30th, as long as it wasn't immediately brought to the tower, there could be a point where I couldn't keep progressively going 1 day back at a time. There'd eventually be no Sekimeiya in the tower to travel with. And there's something else. I only thought of this idea assuming I can't open the storeroom door or that it doesn't lead outside. If I wanted to trap myself during the night, I would need to enter the tower before it closes and wait in the hidden segment of the storeroom. If I can only go 1 day back at a time, I'll eventually reach Sunday when the tower is closed and I can't get in. The last possible night where I could do this would be Monday. Tonight. So Mia died on a Saturday, and I can't save her if I don't figure out why I went so far back. Okay, but what about the lottery? Great question.
Someone's gonna knock on the door now. Got to.
In the end,
something happened.
No matter how much I thought in the living room of my house, I had to go to the tower. During the day, I had to try to find the Sekimeiya and check the status of the storeroom door so that I could determine the best course of action. I rested my head on one of the pillows. After recalling the footprints in the snow, I felt reluctant to leave my apartment again. I would leave, just not immediately. I closed my eyes, overwhelmed by all the doubts I had. Please open your eyes and have someone hovering over you creepily. I stood up and turned off the lights.
I'll take over now.
All right, yep. That's Please, for the love of God.
Shiroya needs a dog.
Shiroya does need a dog. Jump scare time? Not quite.
I heard a faint sound. After suddenly raising my head, I noticed it was coming from next to me. I reached for my purse and took my phone out. The number calling me was displayed on the back screen. I read it a couple times, wondering if I recognized it. I don't think I've ever been called by this number. Since there was no name below it, it wasn't on my contacts list. There's a guy looking through the window right now, holding the phone. Is it hers? Is it the right apartment? Mute your phone. It's also not the number I just called earlier. Oh, it's not. Okay, they hadn't hung up yet, so I debated what to do.
That was the landlord, though.
Should I pick up? It doesn't seem like anyone has at the hospital. It was rare for me to receive a strange call. Given my situation, I hesitantly pressed the accept button.
Moshi Moshi.
Hello, Shiroya. I want to play a game.
Hello?
Oh, you picked up. Good. Hey there. I frowned, unable to recognize the relieved sounding voice. Are you Shiroya?
Huh? Yeah. Who are you?
V. What was the guy's name again? It's
Vaisude.
Vaisude. He's there.
Yeah.
It is him. You were at my place earlier, remember? My name is Vaisude.
Yep. Oh, from the apartment? Are you the one who's currently living there?
Yes, I'm sorry to suddenly call you like this. I got your number from Cecil's phone.
What? Why?
I asked that, but I figured I already knew the answer. He had recognized me. I just need to ask this first. You were in Ashia Tower during the terrorist attack on December 15th, right?
December 15th? What are you talking about?
What? You know all about it, right? That's why you came to my place.
Do not gaslight the mentally ill man, Shiroya.
Oh my god, Shiroya, you're fucking terrible. Okay, good.
I do, yeah. I was there.
There was no reason to keep hiding it. I see. I knew I wasn't wrong. Take the shot. There's a reason why I'm calling you. I don't know how this will sound, though.
What is it?
Do you know what I experienced? You read my thread from November, didn't you? That's how you found my apartment.
What did you experience?
Exactly what I wrote about. From the 15th of December, I suddenly appeared on the 24th of November. Once again, there was no reason to deny it. Since I'd shown up at his place days before the 15th and I'd been one of the people to get trapped, from his perspective, it was fair to conclude that I'd also traveled through time. Yeah, we get it. Yeah.
I see. You're right. I also traveled back in time.
Really? So is that what happened? How, though? I breathed steadily, wondering what to say.
I don't know. I'm confused as well.
There's an egg. I didn't want to reveal the Sekimeiya's powers, as I'd been fearing someone could get to it before me. You don't know? Something happened inside the tower, right? How is it possible that I appeared in November like that?
I'm telling the truth. I don't know. I also suddenly traveled through time when I was in the tower, but I don't know why. I'm kind of glad to know I wasn't the only one, though.
So, time traveling really is possible. I was so scared I'd lost it completely. Do you really not know anything about what happened? And what about the lottery numbers?
I don't. I went to the event with a friend and we all got knocked out by smoke that came out of nowhere. I know I traveled to the past, but not anything about what happened in that place.
What the hell? I don't get it. How's that possible? A lot more people had to have come with me, right?
It's possible, but I don't know. You're the first one I've come across.
Whoa, this is unreal.
I know. I can still hardly believe it.
Why didn't you say anything to me? Isn't that why you came to my place?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. It was hard to ask out of nowhere if you traveled through time.
I understand. The same thing happened to me. He kept going after a pause. Then what will happen in 2 weeks? Do you think it will repeat?
It's very possible, but I'm not sure everything will be identical.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense. I have no idea how it will come to occur, but it'll happen again. People will travel to the past. I can't believe it.
I'm as confused as you are.
So, are you okay now? I figure getting caught in that attack and suddenly traveling through time was hard on you. I know I didn't take it well.
I am. Don't worry about me. But I do have a question. Did you let your past self see you?
My past self? No, I didn't, but I did see him. I came back to my place on the 25th of November, and in the afternoon I saw myself coming back from work. I got scared when I heard the sound, so I escaped without being seen. When I started to understand what had happened to me, I managed to avoid problems pretty easily by staying at home before the evening or at my parents'. So, since it wasn't his intention to change the past, he didn't. Oh my god.
Shiroya.
I'm incredibly relieved I was right. You really can't imagine it. I'm still going to move, but I'm so glad I can stop doubting what I felt sure of.
That's good to hear. I'm sure everything will be all right.
Shiroya, we can destroy a man right now. Yeah, I think so too.
Oh. You're with the police, right? I saw a picture in your apartment.
Yes, but I'm afraid I won't work there much longer. Honestly, I've been told in the past I'm not always mentally stable. I'm relieved that it's not at the point I'd feared, but staying at my job would be very irresponsible and dangerous. I didn't share it at first, but I think that just made it worse. So I've already accepted my condition. I went sympathetically at what he was saying. His voice still sounded very calm, but there was a definite trace of sadness in it. It didn't seem like he wanted to specify any details, so I didn't ask for them.
I'm sorry. I hope it gets better once you move out.
Thank you. I do as well.
You were still working with the police up until the 15th, right?
I was, yes.
In that case, is there something you know about the attack? Do you know what could have happened?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know anything. It was a highly entertained possibility that Zin could have been planning something, but I don't know anything beyond that.
I see. That's fine.
Sorry, I'd love to give you more information. Ashia quickly put out a statement about their version of what had happened, but nobody really believed it. We thought that something in the security system went wrong because Ashia were having problems unlocking the way in, and the communication with the interior suddenly cut, like parts of the building kept shifting around or rearranging themselves.
Yeah, that's what happened inside as well, but we couldn't figure out what caused it.
She should ask him where he was standing when he blipped out, right?
Yep.
I see. I apologize for not being more helpful.
Don't worry, I wanted to ask just in case.
I wasn't sure whether asking my next question was the right call, but I had to know.
Oh, something else. I don't mean to be rude or anything, but were you in Ciudad Della earlier?
The park? No. Why?
I thought I might have seen you there. Was I wrong?
Yes, I'm still at my apartment.
I was mistaken then.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
I see. Sorry.
I didn't want to push it, but I still halfway doubted him. It's fine. I guess this was all I called you for, but thank you for telling me the truth. Hearing that really was a relief.
I'm glad. Do you think you'll be okay?
I will. I'm not sure what I'll do now, knowing what happened, but I'll manage. I hope you will too. Is there anything else you want to know?
Yeah. Do you know exactly when you traveled through time on the 15th?
The time? It might have been close to 4, I think.
I don't know then. I traveled hours later, so I don't know what to think.
That's unbelievable. I just can't wrap my head around it.
I know.
Who used the Sekimeiya at 4 o'clock on that day?
Yeah, and it means that they probably also went back this far in time, so who else is fucking around here?
Yeah, who vanished? Was it Akaro?
Akaro did vanish for a while, yeah.
It's Akaro then. Akaro used the Sekimeiya and went all the way back then. Okay.
Yeah, and it could have been him who appeared in prison.
Yeah. Okay. I hope it's not the coffee shop guy that's stalking her in the park. Can you think of anything else that could be of use? I'd really like to help understand what happened. This is way too crazy.
I don't think so, no.
I see. Do call me if you think of anything then. Even though we still can't understand anything, at least now I can be somewhat at ease.
Okay, I will.
And if you realize something or can think of what happened, please tell me. I would really appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you. After a few seconds, he said goodbye, and the call ended. So that's that. I left my phone on the floor and rested my head back on the pillow. I briefly looked at the time, which had shown 4:58. Maybe coffee shop guy found out she's still in the hospital and is like imposter Shiroya is living in the apartment.
Yeah,
I'm glad all that makes more sense now. It's probably fine that I revealed I traveled through time. Yeah, it's probably fine. At 4, we were in the attic, and I think Sai and Akaro had already escaped from the bedroom. I might have been right with what I thought before. Oh, I forgot to ask, but Zin definitely didn't approach him. It seems that all the information he could give them would be the very basic details behind the alarm, although I really doubt he would. He knows he's in the past, so if someone approaches him asking questions without knowledge of what happened on the 15th, it'll be easy to conclude they're not good people. It didn't sound like he was taking it that badly, though. I guess he'll be at his parents' house from now on. If everything were to repeat, his original self would still live in his apartment until the 15th, when he traveled to the past. I figured I didn't have to think too hard about it, so after wondering if there was anything else important I could ask him, I shut my eyes and buried my face in my pillow. Knock, knock, knock. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Maybe I missed it. Do we know why anyone would have traveled back to the jail? Were they with the cop and I just missed that? Someone inside the tower probably used the Sekimeiya and went back in time. And it seems like your coordinates are registered somehow, so presumably it's someone who was previously in jail and they went back into the jail cell and just kind of left afterward with their silent
maybe it puts you in the position that is the closest you were to the Sekimeiya, wherever the Sekimeiya was at that time.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. A while later, I went to the hallway. I tended not to enjoy taking showers during the winter, but as the heater had been working all day, it felt like a good idea, and I just wanted to do something.
Why couldn't the cops identify him? I don't know.
Technically, I'd showered 2 days earlier on the 30th. I went to my bedroom and selected the clothes I usually slept in. I had a bathtub in the bathroom, as my apartment wasn't big enough to have a dedicated room for it. I wasn't good at taking short showers, so I generally opted to take baths and avoid using up all the hot water. I turned on the water and waited for it to heat up as I left my nightwear ready.
We were in the stinky timeline all along.
I opened the door and stepped out. Thanks to the heater, the hallway felt cold in a pleasant way. How much time had I spent there? I tried to keep my mind empty, but it wasn't easy, especially after Vaisude's call. As usual, the bath had been relaxing, but it also made me more tired. I didn't like how my hair looked after using the hairdryer, so I only used a towel, leaving it slightly wet. I tried not to soak it too much since I had to sleep soon, but that hadn't worked out, and I wasn't sure where the dryer even was.
I bet her hair technique is terrible. Oh my god, I bet her hair technique is terrible. It's terrible. She is scrubbing at her hair with that towel. She's using the hairdryer with no heat protectant.
No sunlight was left. I approached my phone and glanced at the time. 7:19. The previous day, I'd gone to sleep very early, so my body was demanding that I repeat the schedule. I'm not sure this is going to go well if I'm going to spend the entire night in the tower soon. I had a pretty sad thought in the bathtub. My birthday was on the 19th of December and Katsuki's was on the 21st. What? Earlier that year, the three of us had celebrated Mia's, but it could end up being the first year I could remember where Katsuki and I wouldn't be together those 2 days. If we continued in the tower and the exit hadn't opened, we would have spent them locked inside. I was already moving the world away from that reality. The thought of having to miss those days was pretty disheartening, even if they would technically happen with another version of me present. But I knew I wouldn't let myself be tricked. I wouldn't abandon the wish to save Mia because of that. If I did, spending our birthdays together wouldn't mean anything anymore. Yawning, I brought my phone to my bedroom. Sometimes I got pretty hungry after bathing, but I really just wanted to lie down. The time had been passing so fast since I made it home. Turned off the hallway light and walked to my bed. The blinds were still down, so I turned off the light there too and covered myself with the blankets, their soft touch highlighted after the bath. I'm gonna wake up on December 3rd. Katsuki's probably suffering by himself in his house, or maybe he's in the hospital. This is about the time I woke up on the 8th, and he was there. No matter what I do, things won't ever be the same, will they? I have to go to the tower tomorrow, don't I? That'll tell me which options I have. Assuming I'm able to find the cabinet, what would I choose? If I can't decide now, how will I be able to decide tomorrow? I was so comfortable in my bed that it was almost impossible to believe that within a few hours, I might have been living in a world where I wouldn't really be myself. Maybe she's faking being in a coma because she also traveled from the future. Instead, I could end up in a prison cell. The choices I had weren't just freeing, they were daunting. If I changed the past, I would pretty much be sacrificing myself. It's already changed in a very minor way, but that might not matter. Even if I can't ever use the Sekimeiya again, if I simply prevent Katsuki and myself from going into the tower on the 15th, the other version of me will never travel through time, so both of us will persist. That is assuming I don't get dematerialized by a paradox. Since the past can be changed, I should probably not be worried about that. Hopefully.
I am dematerializing her with my fucking mind.
We prefer the sociopaths. Bring Mia back. Bring Mia back. It was just so frustrating to think about. Like in the bathroom, I forced the thoughts away and tried to breathe calmly.
Mouse of the stream says to stop here. But we're having so much fun.
Okay, I need to know, if we stop here, are the reading assignments next week going to be the same?
Well, how you? I'm not promising. Not promising.
Yeah. Oh, God. No. No. Why?
Mia would hesitate for 0 seconds and laughs as she sees Katsuki evaporate into gas in front of her eyes. I know. This was strategically timed so as you start enjoying Umineko more again, so you'll no longer say that you like Sekimeiya more. Do you think it's still fine? Yeah, I'm still enjoying it. This is bullshit though. This is terrible. This is terrible. I'm sorry. This is not for me.
It's terrible because there is some interesting things happening, but there's too much bullshit between it.
There is too much bullshit between it. I would not survive 100-liner Fate Stay Night is what I've learned today in the chat. What about Mihoyo? Is Mihoyo like this? Someone in chat tell me if Mihoyo is like this right now. Oh. Did you know some people like this section the best? Those people are like VN brain cooked, I think. It's hard to compare because they're written to make the slice of life as entertaining as it can be. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah, a little. Like there was a piece of the slice of life part in Higurashi 3 that was really interesting before they dropped a nuclear bomb into it that made me hate Ryukishi. For the time being. No, simple. Not Mihoyo. Mahoyo. The something different. The Witch on the Holy Night. Chat.
Oh, Higurashi has an explosion come out of nowhere too? I didn't know. It's
a different type of explosion.
Oh, okay.
Play Genshin? I don't fucking do that. No. All right. Okay. All right. Minor crash out. We'll have a bigger crash out after stream. Sorry. Okay. Thank you everyone for coming out. Joe, do you want to get together and work on the chart to feel better about Sekimeiya over the week?
Nope.
No, okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
I'll do it myself. I'll do it myself. I'll do it my goddamn. At least we can look at Sai if we do that. At least we can look at Sai.
It's true. We can't look at Sai and Sai.
Thank you for the stream. Thank you for coming. Thanks everybody for hanging out.
Thank you everybody.
All right, we're gonna. What are
we gonna do?
Well, you sorry, you cut out there a little bit. What did you say?
I said, what are you rating?
I am gonna
raid. We're still live,
yeah.
right?
We are still live,
right.
yeah. What did you say?
Okay.
We're gonna raid Kraken.
I just started talking and then I just stopped.
That's okay. You would never believe me, but I think you'll enjoy looking back on this chapter in the distant future. I don't think so. We might enjoy the information that was given here, but not the experience of reading it. All right.
Oh, now you're the one saying shit like this.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. All right.
Yes.
Talk to you later, chat. Thanks for coming by.